Rhino 3 is the worst. You deserve that. You deserve that. Only when upgraded. I will not stand for opinions for people who have no idea what they're talking about. Hello there, YouTube. It's me, Zem. I'm bringing you today my most ambitious video ever. I will be ranking every single weapon in the entire Ratchet and Clank series. That's right, this is all of them. Except for maybe before the Nexus. Did that even have weapons? I never played it. Regardless, this should have most, if not all of them. And we're going to rank them. We're just going to go right down the line. As you can see, the way that I've ranked these tiers, we have going from SS to F tier and then a special tier for you. So as far as how I'm ranking these weapons, ideally, I'm going to be going primarily off of the casual experience, although I'm not going to lie, I've been speedrunning for 6.5 years. And so it's going to be damn near impossible for me to exclude speedrunning technology. But I know there were a lot of people on my previous tier list that said, hey, this is a bit too speedrunning centric. Can you please make it a bit more casual? So I'm going to try to do that this time around. We'll see how it goes. Shall we get started? The blaster. We're going to start off strong with the blaster from Rack 1. I think the blaster is honestly really good. It costs 2,500 bolts. It does a pretty decent amount of damage, has a ton of ammo. It's honestly probably the best pistol in the Ratchet series still. Even with all the iterations of the combustor, even with all of the even with the pistol in Rift Apart. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna drop this into early A tier. Because it's just extremely bolt efficient. And it's just very useful for all circumstances. In fact, it's even in the early iterations of the speedrun, which I know I said I wouldn't factor that into too much of my calculations here, but even in the early drafts of the speedrun, the blaster was used very frequently. Like, you can do the gold blaster, you can do the regular blaster. They both do a ton to Drek. They both, like, help out a lot. Let's see here. So the bomb glove. We're going to move on to the bomb glove. That's the base weapon that you get in Rack 1. The bomb glove is actually, unironically, super busted. Especially considering that it's the first weapon you get as well. You get it totally for free. The bomb glove is always useful throughout the entire game, and it always does a ton of damage. I know some people have some problems with accuracy with the bomb glove. Sometimes it can be a little tough to throw. But I think realistically, the strategy of just hopping in the air and then throwing a bomb pretty much directly at your feet is a very, very potent strategy for pretty much all enemies across the entire game. So if I put the blaster in A tier, I'm putting this no lower than A tier as well. I'm going to put it definitely higher than the blaster for sure. Blaster will probably go back towards the end of A tier, and this will be the top part of A tier. The decoy glove. Now, the decoy glove, of course, I put it, I believe, in SS tier last time. I forget if I put it in S or SS tier. And I'm kind of leaning toward the same thing. Simply because, like, I know I said speedrunning wouldn't factor too much in, but it is just such an extremely powerful speedrunning tool. Casually, I'm trying to think where I would put this casually. It's not super useful casually. I mean, it does some damage when it explodes. And it distracts enemies, which can always be useful. But at the end of the day, it's not super effective. I mean, it's mostly just funny, right? It's a really funny weapon. Is it super useful? I'm gonna leverage the speedrunning placement and the casual placement. I'm gonna give the casual placement a bit more weight. I think if you're gonna put this in a casual spot, you would put it in either low C or high D tier. Thank you for subscribing. But because it's like an SS tier speed running tool, I I don't know. I think, honestly, I might actually end up putting this pretty low anyway because the decoy glove barely does more than the bomb glove does. Actually, oh, you know what? I need to already adjust my placement of the bomb glove. I need to already adjust it. I was only thinking about Ratchet 1. I was not thinking about Ratchet 2. In Ratchet 2, I'm not going to lie to you all. The gold bomb glove is completely broken. Like, it is... The gold bomb glove, I'm not even kidding when I say this in Ratchet 2. It is the most cost-effective weapon, or the cost-efficient weapon in the entire game. You buy the bomb glove for 1,000 bolts. You buy the gold bomb glove for another 1,000. And it's legitimately like the second or third strongest weapon in the entire game. I'm not kidding when I say that. Like, it is so outrageously busted. Now, is it game-breaking? I'm not 100% sure, and I also need to consider the Ratchet 1 utility of it. So if it's an a high A rank weapon in Ratchet 1 and an SS rank weapon in Ratchet 2, I'm gonna split the difference and put it in S tier. If you don't believe me or you've never seen it yourself, just trust me, give it a shot. Buy the gold bomb glove and just see how much it shreds enemies. It's so good. It's so good. But anyway, back to where I was doing with the decoy glove. I would say we're gonna put this in... I'm gonna put it in C tier. Simply because I'm weighing the casual side of it a lot more this time around. And, honestly, even in the speedrun, the bomb glove does everything the decoy glove does, but with more ammo and more utility anyway. And yeah, the only advantage in a speedrun that the decoy glove even has on the bomb glove is the clipping aspect. Like, you can clip out of bounds and through walls and stuff. But again, you know, I said I wouldn't weigh that as heavily. So, yeah, I'm going to drop this in C tier. I feel pretty good about that placement, honestly. And I may revisit that at some point. So, the Devastator. The Devastator is... I've been recently replaying a lot of Rack 1 in a casual sense, and so I've been using the Devastator quite a bit. The Devastator, I think I really underrated it the last time around. I think that the Devastator is just so good. It's such a good weapon. Now, personally, I think the question then becomes, is the Devastator better than the Visibomb? In a speedrunning sense, absolutely. The Visibomb kind of takes forever. And the gold Devastator is out of this world good. But I think in a casual sense, the Visibomb is just as strong. Actually, it's a little stronger. Because it blows up some enemies a little bit quicker. Or it blows, like, the bigger enemies, you know, like the ships they have to beat on Gemlik. Yeah, there's a few things that the Visibomb does better in a casual sense. And the Visibomb is just more fun to use. So, all that being said, I think this is a great rocket launcher. I think it's one of the best rocket launchers in the entire series. So, I'm going to drop this. I'm going to put it above the blaster, but below the bomb glove. Just because the bomb glove in Ratchet 1 is still comparably as good, considering it's a free weapon that does a ton. And the bomb glove is, yeah, like, if it were a little bit more broken, like the gold bomb glove is in going Commando, I would put this in S tier. But considering that it gets out DPS'd by the Visibomb, I'm not 100% sure I can put it in A tier. Although that's not to say I'm going to put it below the Visibomb, because we still have to consider the Visibomb in Rack 2 when we're talking about the Visibomb. Anywho, the drone device. The drone device, it's pretty good. It's definitely an idea for a shield. Is it a good idea for a shield? It's all right. I would say the drone device serves its purpose, but that's literally all it does. I don't really think it's a very strong weapon. Even, you can't even upgrade it, I don't think. No, there is no gold drone device. So you just get the base shield. It protects you from some damage, but it goes away really quickly because the the shield also acts offensively. So if you're standing near any, it's like when you have 3 green shells in Mario Kart. Like, you feel invincible when you have all 3, and then one of your green shells blocks an item, and then all of a sudden you have only 2 hovering, and then for some reason you just like get hit by the next red shell that hits you, and you're like, but dude, I had 2. And I feel like that's a very similar concept to how the drone device feels. I don't think it's as bad as D tier. I think I'm gonna put it in C, below the decoy glove. I still think it's decent. I may end up lowering that though. I mean, I think if anything it might drop to high D tier. But I think low C is fine for right now. So I just want to clarify, just in case anybody was wondering why the Clank Zapper is in its own tier. I think it's pretty obvious why it's in its own tier. Because it costs 1,000,000 bolts and it sucks ass. Anyway, moving on. We got the Glove of Doom. The Glove of Doom is okay. I've never been the biggest fan of it. I don't really like the Glove of Doom very much. I think there's also, yeah, there's spoiler alert, there's a Glove of Doom in Rift Apart as well. It's different than the Rack 1 one, so we're going to be evaluating it differently. The Glove of Doom in this game, I'm going to be honest with you, I think this weapon's not that good. I don't like it. I mean, it does a decent amount of damage. It's called something else in Ouya. It's the Agents of Doom. So it's, you know, technically, I mean, they're all iterations of the same weapon. I don't know. But we're going to rank them individually because they're, you know, I don't know. Some people may be upset at me for doing that. I think it's a relatively useless weapon. But it's not the worst. I mean, it's bad, but it's not awful. It does kind of feel like a waste of bolts when you buy it. I'm not going to lie. I'm dropping it in D tier. The Mine Glove. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think this weapon is bad. I think it's really bad. And I know there's this strategy where you throw the Mine Glove and then taunt the enemy into the mine. I think its only saving grace is that the Mine Glove in Ouya multiplayer, Ouya multiplayer is absolutely bazonkers busted. Like, this is literally like you either like have a whole team of people just throwing mines at the entrance of your base, or you, like, this is always the first weapon everyone agrees to just blanket ban. Whenever I played Ouya multiplayer with friends, like, we would always be like, oh, dude, any weapon is totally fine except for the Mine Glove. The Mine Glove is really, really broken in Ouya multiplayer. I'm not going to factor that in as much, though, because it's multiplayer, because, you know, we're trying to talk about the efficacy of the weapons within the realm of the game itself instead of just the multiplayer. Also, shoutouts to the online Ouya multiplayer scene. They recently found a way to run their own multiplayer server, completely independent of the devs shutting it down. I'm gonna try that out at some point in the near future. I told them a while ago I wanted to try it out, but then I got a little busy. I am still kind of currently busy with Rift Apart, but eventually I will be playing the multiplayer. I'm not gonna let that influence my opinion too much. I would normally put this in F tier, but because of Ouya multiplayer influencing things a little bit, I'm gonna put it in low C tier. I think low C tier makes sense. I mean, it's F tier here and SSS tier in Ouya multiplayer. So to split the difference, I'm gonna just drop it in low C. Move it down to D now? No, it's still better than no. It's not that much worse than the Glove of Doom already. And with the fact that it's literally the #1 weapon in Ouya multiplayer, I can't justify putting it in D tier personally. I can't do that. Okay, so the Morpher Ray. As far as the Morpher Ray goes, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think it's that good. It has infinite ammo, sure. It's free, sure. But I don't think it does anything better than any other, like, morphing gun. And I think for the most part, you get most of the morphing weapons for free anyway, or at least I'm trying to think. I know you get Oh no, that's not actually true after Rack 2, but like same thing happens with Rack 2 and the Sheepinator is way better. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this gun. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think it's that good. Because all the enemies that you would be turning into chickens are enemies you would not really have any trouble with anyway. And all the weapons, or all the enemies that are bigger, you need something better than the Morpher Ray to fight them. You can't jump with it. You can't strafe with it. I'm putting it in D tier. I'm putting it above the Glove of Doom, but I still don't think it's very good. As far as the Pyrocitor goes, I think the Pyrocitor is actually really, really sick. I think that in 2016, it's really fun to use. It's kind of reminiscent of the flamethrower from Todd. In the speedrun, it's absolutely bazonkers busted. If you're playing on the PAL version, you can damage bosses and enemies on every single frame. But again, I said I wouldn't factor that in as much. And the Pyrocitor in general is just a fun weapon to use in both games. I think it's cheap. I think it's strong. In Rack 1, it's not as strong as it is in 2016. But I am going to give this... I'm going to drop this in lower S tier. For the Rhino. The Rhino 2002 is a very interesting weapon. And let me tell you why. It is the most expensive weapon in the game by an absolute, like, by a huge margin. By an absolutely huge margin. Now, the way that I tend to gauge this, do I think it was relatively broken for how expensive it was? Honestly, no. I think there are a lot of weapons that do comparable amounts of DPS, like the Gold Devastator, the Gold Tesla Claw especially. You guys know that the Gold Tesla Claw does almost as much damage to Drek as the Rhino does, right? Now, granted, with the Rhino, you can hit Drek from anywhere on the screen, but realistically, that's not really much of an issue if you know what you're doing anyway. I don't think this Rhino is very good. It's not even that useful in the speedrun. It's only used how many times? Once in the entire speedrun of Ratchet 1 and New Game Plus. You don't even use it 2 times right now, 1 time soon. Yeah, I know it's used on Novalis. It's not used much of anywhere else, though, right? On Quartu, optimally? Quartu. Oh, Quartu, that's right, that's right. Because you clip through the wall and then you Rhino the dude. Yeah. So it's barely even used in the speedrun anymore. And we were probably the biggest advocates of using the Rhino. Well, that's maybe not true. Casual players love having the Rhino. I think this is just kind of a pain of a weapon. I don't think it's... I mean, I think it's... Again, relative strength for how expensive it is. I'm dropping it in high A tier. I think it's a decent Rhino, but it's certainly not even close to the best ones out there. Yeah, and Darren Adam brings up a good point. If you want to get this on your first playthrough, it is gonna just be a colossal headache if you're not using infinite bolt glitches. And in New Game Plus, it's okay, but still too expensive and takes way too long. So I'm putting it in A tier. I know some people are gonna say, well, that's ridiculous. Why would you put the Pyrocitor here and the Rhino here? That doesn't make any sense. This tier list is a joke and you're a joke, Zem. And to that I say, please stop trying to hurt my feelings. I'm just doing the best I can. The Suck Cannon. I'm gonna be real with you. I think the Suck Cannon is dope as hell. I think it's a great weapon. It has infinite ammo. The enemies create the ammo for it. It only gets stronger as the series goes on. Well, actually, I don't remember how good it was in Size Matters. I'll be real with you. But in Ouya, at the very least, it's unbelievably good. Like, we're talking V7 and up can kill, like, big enemies in 2 hits. Which is amazing for a gun that has free ammo. Free, infinite ammo. You can suck up enemies in Ratchets 1 and Ouya you can suck up boxes in Ouya, which means you get even more opportunities for infinite ammo. And there's even, like, the way they try to balance the weapon, they try to make it so that once you start sucking things up, you can't suck up more stuff after you stop. But you can actually tell the devs to go suck a fat one in Ouya, and you can wrench cancel as you're sucking, and then when you hold down circle again, you can start sucking again. So it's actually pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Yeah, it levels up super fast in Ouya as well. Like, you can, I remember going from V1 to V5 in the speedrun, you can get it all done in like, I'm not even kidding, like 10 to 15 enemies on Velden. Like, it's super nuts. Super nuts. I don't think it's game breaking. I think it's good. In Rack 1, I don't think it's nearly as good, although it is still a free weapon. I'm gonna drop this, I think, above the Devastator, but below the Rhino. That seems relatively fair to me. The Taunter. The Taunter, I'm gonna be real with you, this weapon is hilarious, and I love how funny it is. It's not a very effective weapon. Again, I know you got the combination of Taunter Mind Glove or Taunter plus Hazard. And I'm sure for the thumbnail, we could always like construct a joke tier list where the Taunter is on SS tier. That is what I did in my first thumbnail for the OG Trilogy rankings. But for our purposes here, I'm gonna put this in bottom of D tier, honestly. I mean, I think the novelty of it keeps it out of F, but it's not very useful other than that. Yeah, I know you can do the infinite bolt glitch with the Taunter, but I remind you, you need the Taunter for a few skill points and gold bolts in Rack 1. I mean, that's fine, but to me, that still doesn't influence the actual effectiveness of the weapon. Like, sure, you need it for skill points, and that's kind of creative that they use it that way. You know what? Maybe that will sway my opinion just a little bit. I'll put it at the top of D tier just because I think it's funny. How about that? I'll put it top of D tier. The Tesla Claw. The Tesla Claw is absurdly good. It's not super good in Rack 2. It's incredibly good in Rack 1. It's like otherworldly good in Rack 1. But unfortunately, the going Commando one balances it out a little bit. It's still decent in Rack 2. It's just not super strong. I would probably put it in C tier if it were talking exclusively Rack 2. I would probably drop it low SS if we were talking about Rack 1. I'm gonna go with the happy medium. I'm not gonna let how bad it is in Rack 2 influence my opinion that much. I am still gonna put this in S tier. So I think I'm gonna put it above the Pyrocitor, but below the Bomb Glove, because the Bomb Glove is still super good in Rack 1, and it's absolutely bazonkers broken in Rack 2. So I think overall the Tesla Claw is a worse weapon across both games than the Bomb Glove is, but it's still very, very, very good. Like, it cannot be understated that it's an extremely strong weapon. The Visibomb. The Visibomb is really fun. I mean, honestly, it's kind of the same circumstance as the Tesla Claw. It's very good in Rack 1. It's very fun to use in Rack 1. This weapon is even worse in Rack 2. The Visibomb sucks ass. It is so bad. The Visibomb is super situational. I don't know how I feel about calling it situational. I feel like there's most situations where you can find a way to use the Visibomb. I think it's good for exploration. I think it's really cool just as a concept. I wish they had done more with this kind of concept in Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, I think that's a good point, Harriet. When people think of Ratchet and Clank cheese weapons, I think nearly everybody thinks of the Visibomb. Now, I said the Visibomb has higher DPS than the Devastator. But remember I said I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to put it above the Devastator. Strictly because it's so bad in Rack 2. I don't know. I think in general, I'm going to put it in A tier. Possibly B tier. Overall. Oh, let me think about this for another second. So, if I were to judge it exclusively off of Rack 1, I would probably drop it in A tier. But because, or maybe A tier, low S tier. But because the Visibomb is so dog water in Rack 2, I think I have to put this in high B tier. So, yeah, I'm still going to use the Visibomb as a reference point for the Devastator because I think it's still proper to gauge DPS that way. But I still think the Visibomb Rack 2 is just so bad that I can't justify putting this in A tier. I can't do it. The Walloper. The Walloper is honestly not great. In the speedrun, it's completely broken. I just spilled water all over myself. Thankfully, you can't really see it, but it's the truth. You can see the water spots. I'm going to keep that off screen. I'm actually really sad I just did that. Anyway, the Walloper's not that good. It's fun to use, sure, and it's really good in the speedrun. But, like, what is it? Isn't it 7,500 bolts? It's certainly a novel item. It's cool. But oftentimes, I'm just going to say it, the Walloper tends to get you into more trouble than it's actually worth. Like, you Walloper towards an enemy, but then you just, like, slightly miss because they barely moved out of the way. And then they just, like, hit you. And you're like, oh, this stupid Walloper. Only if you use it bad? Oh my god. I shouldn't need a PhD in Walloperology to be able to use it without getting hit all the time. And plus, even when you hit enemies, it's still not that good. The Walloper tech in the speedrun is super sick. And I said I wouldn't let that influence my decision all that much. But that is going to pull it out of F tier for me. So instead, I'm going to put it just barely above the Glove of Doom. The Pixelizer. Oh, the Pixelizer. What can be said about the Pixelizer that hasn't already been said about the worst thing you know? I hate this weapon. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's so stupid, and the vendor in PS4 never shuts up about it. And even when you buy it to shut up the Gadgetron vendor, he still doesn't shut up about it. And then you use it and it's not that good. In Rift Apart, it's actually not bad. No, never mind. It is really bad in Rift Apart. I'm just remembering now. It has almost no ammo. It barely puts a dent into stronger enemies. I know some people like love it. Like they love it because it's so stupid. I've never been that kind of person. I can't just choose to like bad things. Pixelizer is good in PS4. Does like 15% of Miss Zircon's health at max level. Listen, there's a lot of weapons that do a lot of damage to the enemies. SS easily, boy. Oh, Danny, you shut your goddamn mouth. I don't even want to hear it from you. I'm gonna drop it in C tier. The Photon Drum. This one was okay, right? This one wasn't that bad. Yeah. Listen, Saxophoner gets to say some head-ass stuff in this chat without getting timed out. Because, you know, we go way too far back for me to do that to him. I can't do him dirty like that. This weapon's pretty decent, right? It's not bad. It's not great. It's not bad. It does a decent amount of damage. Tends to blow up a little sooner than you want it to. Never does as much as you want it to, but it's still a really cool concept. I think if it were from any other game than PS4, I would drop it in B tier. But because it's PS4 and not that good anyway, I'm going to put it just barely above the drone device in C tier. Oh, the Arc Lasher. Literally, okay, I'm going to be real with you all. Okay, I'm going to be real with you. We've just hit the all for one section. And if you're expecting any of these to be above, like, B tier, you are going to be sorely disappointed. This weapon is garbage. It is so bad. It's a prime example of why All for One is such a stupid weapon. Or such a stupid weapon. Such a stupid game. It's so bad. I'm dropping it in F tier. The Blitzer. Isn't this like, remind me, this is like the Walloper but worse. This is just the Walloper but worse, right? This also goes in F tier. The Blitzer has a lot of speedrun uses now. Okay, well if it has a lot of actual uses in the speedrun, then I'll put it above F tier. But not by a lot. I'm gonna put it below the Walloper for sure. Actually, I'm gonna put it at the bottom of D tier. I feel like it's disrespectful to the Glove of Doom to put the Blitzer above it. The Cloaker, isn't this just functionally useless? Isn't this just like kind of stupid? So it's just kind of bad, right? I barely remember it. I'm gonna be real with you. Clank Zapper tier. Is it really that bad? We really talking Clank Zapper tier level garbage? Realize you're talking about the Clank Zapper here. Yeah, I know it's the invisible thing for Nefarious. I just don't remember it being very useful. Like, I'm trying to remember if it's, like, actually decent in any circumstance. It's like, it's a nothing weapon. Doesn't it immediately deactivate when you use any other weapon or do any other thing, like melee attack them or something? This weapon is beyond useless, right? It has some use in the... Yeah, like if you need stealth. But when do you really need stealth in All for One? I mean, you're just going to use the Warmonger anyway. I gotta say, I think this weapon is doo-doo tier. You have like one level. Alright, well if it's actually useful at any point, I'll drop it in low F. The Critter Strike. The Critter Strike is okay. I mean, it's definitely on the higher end of All for One weapons, but that's like saying one particular turret is the shiniest turret in the pile. Critter Strike is like actually A or S tier. Is it really that good in All for One? You can morph bosses? Seriously? That's kind of dope, actually. I'm gonna drop it. I mean, if it's the #1 weapon in All for One, but still from All for One, I feel like low A tier is fair. I think low A tier is fair. Now, there's going to be some people in the YouTube comment section who are like, but Sam, All for One was fun. I played it as a kid with my friends, and we all agreed it was fun. Well, let me tell you something, okay? Kid, you was stupid. But Sam, I was 25 years old when I played this game with my friends, and we all had a great time. 25-year-old you was stupid. That game sucks. It's so bad. But Sam, All for One is fun. Yeah, it's not good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break it to you. The Dark Star Fission Tether. Isn't this like, bad? I mean, it sounds cool, but it's probably pretty bad. I don't even remember this thing. I truly don't remember this thing that well. Very good for AoE. All right. Well, I'll delegate to the All for One kids because I don't think they'd lie to me. So I'll listen to YU. Similar to Tesla spikes and ace it. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably drop it in D tier. I'll probably put it above the Glove of Doom, but that's about... no, that feels disrespectful. The doppelganger. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even remember this. I don't even remember the doppelganger. And I've played through All for One at least 4 times. So it clearly must not be very good. This was an electricity gun that relayed the electricity from one enemy to the other, and it was weak. Doppelganger is OP in full frontal assault. It's actually OP in full frontal assault. That's kind of interesting to think about. All right, so if it's F tier in All for One, and it's A tier or S tier in full frontal assault, but it's still full frontal assault. So does that really matter? Does that really count? Can you make it bigger? Yeah, I can do that, actually. Oh, you were talking about the fission tether. Oh, that's my bad. That's my bad. The fission tether chained lightning. All right, or chained, like, damage between enemies. Yeah, I think I'll probably drop this then if that's the case in high D tier. Maybe even above the taunter. If it's actually good in, if it's actually, like, super good in All for One. It's OP. Okay, so going back to the doppelganger, it's OP in full frontal assault. It's dog water in All for One. I'll put it just above the Darkstar fission tether. I'll put it just above that. It's not that good, but it's a cool gun. The Omega Tech Frost Cannon. I'm glad we're getting all the All for Ones out of the way early. I gotta be real with you all. I'm really glad we're getting all this stuff out of the way early. I think this is just in alphabetical order by game title. There's no way this one's good. I'm gonna be real with you. There's just no way. Even if it does freeze enemies, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm gonna put it here. No, I'm gonna put it here. The Plasma Bomb Launcher. This one was pretty decent, right? This one's pretty decent. You should make a tier for All for One weapons. I feel like it's a little unfair. I feel like I should at least give them their fair shot. You know? It can freeze bosses. Yeah. The Quantum Deflector. You know what? I'm actually going to move the Blitzer. Oh, no. I said I wouldn't do that. I'm going to move this down to F tier, actually. Because at least the Blitzer has speedrun use. Quantum Deflector. I really, truly don't remember a lot of these weapons in All for One. I think I, like, secretly try to repress All for One whenever possible. I'm going to be real with you. It was a shield for Quark, which makes you invincible. Oh, that's the Quantum Deflector. Yeah, you like throw a shield around Quark and he just does random dumb stuff. I don't know. It's still stupid and relatively useless. I'm gonna put it in F tier. Can you move the thing to the right of your cam, by the way? Move the thing to the right of the cam. You mean the tier list? I mean, I guess that's the best it gets, right? I guess that's pretty decent. The Quantum Deflector was the gadget for Aphelion and all for in Ace It. Oh, well, still, it's still, I don't know. All right, the Rhino 6. How are we feeling about the Rhino 6? I mean, it's obviously the worst Rhino, right? But it's still pretty good. I mean, it's easily going to be the best. Rhino 3 is the worst. You deserve that. You deserve that. Only when upgraded. I will not stand for opinions for people who have no idea what they're talking about. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is the worst Rhino, which means it's probably still a pretty decent weapon, but still pretty bad, all things considered. Yeah, it's just, I mean, maybe people wanted something a little different for a Rhino, and maybe this was the right game to try it out. But it's still a bad game, and it's still a bad weapon, so I'm gonna put it, bottom of B tier. The Thunder Smack. I'm gonna be real with you. From my playthroughs of All for One, the Thunder Smack and the Warmonger are the two best weapons that I remember. I don't really remember many of the other ones being all that good. The Thunder Smack, I mean, I'm gonna put it in, probably above the rest of the weapons, but certainly not above the Rhino 6. So, the Thunder Smack, I mean, I don't know. I'll probably drop it in high C, or maybe low C tier. I think that sounds pretty decent. Yeah, I don't know. I think C tier sounds about right. It's one of the better weapons in a trash Ratchet game, so that's about where it belongs. The Warmonger. Okay. I was actually thinking about this. I forget if I said already that the Devastator is the best rocket launcher. If I said that, I honestly take it back. I think for every game it's in, it's consistently the best weapon. I mean, am I wrong? Maybe there's some exceptions. I mean, like, okay, so we have it in All for One, Full Frontal Assault, Into the Nexus, 2016 Rift Apart. In All for One, it's the best weapon. I mean, again, I don't really know in comparison to the Rhino 6, but I'm assuming the Rhino 6 is still better. Full Frontal Assault, it's the best weapon. Into the Nexus, it's one of the best weapons aside from the Rhino. In 2016, it's one of the best weapons aside from... In 2016, it is the best weapon. In 2016, it's the best weapon. In Rift Apart, it's unironically the best weapon. Aside from Cold Snap. Like, the Cold Snap makes it super strong, but it's still, like, the Cold Snap by itself doesn't do the damage. It just debuffs. So, this weapon is consistently ridiculous. And yeah, and even by itself, it's still good at clearing waves of enemies in Rift Apart. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think this is bare minimum S tier. I think this is a bare minimum S tier weapon. I think the Warmonger might actually be our first addition to SS. I just think it's just so good in every single Ratchet game. And I know a lot of people complain that they keep bringing it back. But listen, I'm not here to judge whether or not they should continue to bring a weapon back. I'm here to judge how good it is. And in every single Ratchet game it's consistently either the best weapon or one of the best weapons. I think this is easy SS tier. The Zoni Blaster. This is Clank's weapon, right? In All for One. You, like, use it to, like, shoot some sort of beam. Isn't it stupid and useless? I think it's pretty stupid and useless, right? Unless I'm wrong, I'm just gonna drop this in F tier. Chimp-O-Matic. The Chimp-O-Matic, I mean, it gets bonus points of hilarity because chimpanzees are inherently funnier than any other animal. I mean, how many animals in nature legitimately throw their own poop? Chimps are awesome. We're also finally hitting the ACID section of the game, which is cool to see. I think the chimp gun is pretty good. I think largely it's more fun than a lot of the other ones. I think largely it's also just a pretty good weapon in general. I'm trying to think. I put the Morpher down in D tier. I'm gonna put the Chimp-O-Matic. I'm actually gonna drop it in low B tier. That's where I'm gonna drop it. I think that's pretty fair. I think it's terrible, TBH. It's so slow at converting enemies. I think a lot of the weapons are pretty slow at converting enemies, to be honest with you. But I can see why people would argue for the Chimp-O-Matic, or for other weapons over the Chimp-O-Matic. I just like chimps. I'm gonna be real with you. I just think chimps are funny. So that's why I'm probably rating it higher than it should be. The Constructo Bomb. The Constructo Bomb is unironically ridiculous. It's so good. It's actually such a good weapon. The Constructo Bomb is actually so good. I think people who underrate the Constructo Bomb have no idea how useful it is. You can legitimately beat the entire game with just the Constructo Bomb. You can legitimately beat the... I mean, granted, you can't really do it on the harder difficulties. Like, in the speedrun, we do it on the easiest difficulty, so a lot of weapons do a lot of damage. But the fact of the matter is, you can beat Alistair Azimuth on most difficulties using only the Constructo Bomb, and it's faster than other weapons. Like, for example, the OG strategy used to be to use the Buzz Blades to kill Azimuth in one steady stream of blades. The Constructo Bomb is more powerful than the Buzz Blades. Think about that. A weapon that you get at the very start of the game that is usable the entire time is stronger than one of the best weapons in ACID. With some ammo problems, you actually, if you play it correctly, you don't need to worry about ammo on the Azimuth fight. Because you stand right next to the ammo crate as you're blowing up Azimuth. And, if you just stand right there at the ammo crate, by the time you throw like 5 or 6 bombs, the ammo crate will respawn and completely fill you up on ammo again. So I think this is actually an A tier weapon at the very least. I think it's high A tier, frankly. I'm gonna put it above the suck. I feel like it's disrespectful to the Rhino to put it above the Rhino. But it's still a very, very good weapon. Maybe I'll change my mind on that. Constructo pistol. Am I crazy? This is just the base pistol, right? Except with some modifications available to it, I guess. It's okay. It's not bad, for sure. I think it's very middle of the road. I'm gonna be real with you. I think it's better than the drone device. I think it's better. I actually don't think it's as good as the proton drum. So I'm gonna drop it somewhere around the middle of C tier. So, or like around the upper end of C tier, like middle, upper middle. I think it's good. It's not great. It does its job. The Constructo shotgun. Am I crazy, or was the shotgun in ACIT not that good? I think the Ratchet games in general have a problem where the shotgun is either amazing or terrible. And if I recall correctly, this one wasn't very good. You can stun lock Azimuth with it? Really? That's kind of sick. It was free? Yeah, it was amazing, really. I don't remember it. I really don't. I legitimately don't remember the shotgun. And I've played through ACIT a lot. I've even speedran ACIT, which granted, that doesn't mean I know all the weapons. But, I've played through ACIT multiple times, and I legitimately don't remember this at all. Explosive mod with a long shot was incredible. So when you actually use the Constructo stuff and change it up a bit, it becomes really good, huh? You won it in the arena. You get it from the gold cup and the Battleplex. Maybe that's why I don't remember it very well. Because I don't really remember doing a lot of the gold cup stuff in my playthroughs. But I know I've done it. I know I've unlocked it. Well, regardless, in a situation like this where I don't quite remember a weapon, I will redelegate the chat's opinion. And probably stuff it somewhere around B tier. Maybe I'd put it in A tier if I remembered it, but the fact that I don't remember it at all, I'm just gonna put it barely above the Rhino 6. I'm gonna put it barely above the Rhino 6. Cyramine Glove. Again, another weapon I just don't remember. And this one I know that you get relatively early on, right? It freezes... Oh, cryo. Oh, it's spelled wrong on the thing then. I was wondering, I was like, this is a freezing weapon, right? Yeah, it's supposed to say cryo mine glove. But that's okay. Typos happen. We're not gonna hang anybody up by their toenails for it. I don't remember this being amazing. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't remember this being amazing. I'm gonna drop this at least A. I don't know, man. I don't know about at least A. It was effective but slow. Just for the disrespect to All For One, I'll put it just above the Rhino 6. Also because there's literally no freezing weapon that's even remotely as good as the Cold Snap. So out of respect for the Cold Snap, I'm gonna lower this one more than it maybe should be. The Dynamo of Doom. I remember this being decent. I don't remember it doing that much. 6-axis holds it back. Oh, it's one of the 6-axis weapons. Dude, if you controlled it, it was amazing. I gotta be real with you. I hate the 6-axis weapons. I hate them. Just off principle. It kind of stun-locked enemies. It was fun, but with okay damage. Yeah, the general consensus that I think we're all kind of striking here is that it's an okay weapon. Not really too particularly, like, great, but still good. I'm gonna put it in probably high C tier. I think I'm gonna put it just above the Proton Drum. The Groovitron. The Groovitron is really broken. It's really broken. It's at least S tier. I kind of hate that they brought it back in 4 different games. It's a weapon in ACIT, Full Frontal Assault in 2016. It's a gadget in Tools of Destruction. I hate that they recycled. This is one of the ones that I really am so glad they did not bring back in Rift Apart. Because I think it's just too good at what it does. I honestly think this might be SS. Yeah, that's actually a really good point, 22nd. This weapon is so broken that one of the final bosses of Ratchet 2016 uses it on you. That's how good it is. I'm gonna drop it right here. I'm dropping it in SS. It's completely broken. It's just completely broken. The fact of the matter is, like, it is so good in literally every situation. There is no situation where the proper move in a crack in time, if you're having trouble, is to not just throw the Groovatron. Like, literally, it's a get out of jail free card. You don't know what to use right now? Throw the Groovatron. You're at low health? Throw the Groovatron. There's too many enemies? Throw the Groovatron. It's so over-centralizing that you just use it in all situations. I might actually put this above the Warmonger, now that I'm thinking about it. I think I'm actually going to put it as the #1 weapon right now, out of all the ones we've seen. It's just so absurdly broken. You have no Groovatron ammo? That's literally the only thing that nerfs it, is that you only get a few of them in TOD. And Ace It. You only get, but I think in Ace It you get more, don't you? And in 2016 you get even more than that. It's literally just like, yeah, there's no situation where the optimal move isn't just throw a Groovatron. Is this from a general aspect or a speedrun aspect? Mostly general. We are mixing in speedrun stuff from time to time. Mr. Zircon. Mr. Zircon, I think, is the most... I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Mr. Zircon gets more hate than any weapon in the entire Ratchet series. The people who like Mr. Zircon are very neutral about Mr. Zircon. They're like, oh yeah, you know, I like it. It's a funny weapon. And the people who hate Mr. Zircon are literally like that meme where the person is like ranting at 32 times speed over and over and like pulling their hair out. I think the novelty of Mr. Zircon is fine. I think the utility of Mr. Zircon is not that good. I'm going to drop Mr. Zircon in D tier. I'm going to be real with you. Top of D tier. He's decent in some games, terrible in other games. And in general, it's just a kind of a funny gimmick. I like Mr. Zircon personally. I've always kind of liked Mr. Zircon. I never really understood the hate all that much. So I'm going to personally put it in D tier, but I also don't mind if people disagree with me and they want to put him much lower. The Plasma Striker. The Plasma Striker is good. It's good. It's not incredible, but it is very good. It's not the best sniper rifle. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't played it. Where is it? I'm looking for it. The Headhunter and Rift Apart is the best Ratchet and Clank sniper rifle by a country mile. It's so good. And so having just freshly and very recently played Rift Apart, I can't justify putting the Plasma Striker that much higher than it, or that around the same level. So I will put this in A tier. Recency bias, of course. No, I just think it is the best. I mean, what sniper rifle does... I mean, the only other sniper rifle that's quote-unquote better is the Flux rifle in Ouya. But that's because of speedruns, not because of casual stuff. I'm gonna put Flux... I'm gonna put Plasma Striker in... Flux rifle is just as good casually. I'll get to the Flux rifle. I think in general, we're not here yet, but the Headhunter is so much more fun to use than the Flux rifle. That's my personal take. I'm gonna put the Plasma Striker in... I'll put it in A tier. I'm gonna put it probably just above the Constructo Bomb. Below the Bomb, IMO? Yeah, I guess the Plasma Striker is probably like third best sniper rifle maximum. And the other two are really, really good. Yeah, I could see that being justified. The Rift Inducer 5000. Okay, so this weapon, I love this weapon. It is not nearly as completely bazonkers busted as the original Rift Inducer, but it's still really cute, really funny concept, and one that I personally enjoy a lot. So as far as overall strength, I'm not 100% sure if it's necessarily S tier in a casual setting, but I like the novelty of it enough. Like, I enjoy this weapon every single time I fire it, whether it's useful or not, you know? So I'm going to drop it at the very bottom of S tier. I think this is, like, one of the most fun weapons to just watch in the entire series. I love the Rift Inducer 5000. Like I said, I understand it's maybe not as good as DPS wise as the Rhino or the Constructo Bomb or even maybe the Plasma Striker. But I just like it better. Sorry. Tier lists are all about personal preference at the end of the day, right? So that's my personal preference. Rhino 5. The Rhino 5 is really, really good.
Oh, thank you.
It is really good. I love the Rhino 5. I'm going to be real with you. The fact that it blares out the 1812 Overture while it's just like hacking away, it has like so much ammo. It's more fun than it is effective. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. It's not the strongest Rhino out there. It is maybe arguably my personal favorite Rhino. I'm honestly gonna put it at the very, very bottom of SS tier. There will be Rhinos that are higher ranked than this one. Maybe I'll end up dropping this to first spot on S tier. But I think it's still a good weapon. I think it's still a really good weapon, and I think that the hilarity of the weapon, for me personally, never gets old. I never get bored of that kind of stuff. And I love machine guns, so I'm putting it in SS. The Sonic Eruptor. Shut up, Delta. The Sonic Eruptor. I'm gonna be real with you. This weapon is not very good, but I personally love it. I love the Sonic Eruptor. It's so much fun. It just burps over and over. That's all it does. It doesn't do that much damage. I mean, even if you like, it requires some timing because you have to like be able to time it consistently. But I still think the novelty of the weapon is hilarious. I think everyone who's ever played this game remembers the Sonic Eruptor. And I think in general, it doesn't feel bad to use. It feels really cool. It has utility. It puts enemies into hit stun very quickly if you hit them with the strongest attack. I'm gonna put this probably in high A tier. I'm gonna put a bare minimum A tier. In FFA, it's one of the best weapons, really. I never actually used it much in FFA because I assumed that it was going to be stupid. It feels a little unfair to put this in S tier, just exclusively based on hilarity. But I will put this above the suck. I like it. I like it a lot. It's not as powerful as the Constructo Bomb. It's not as long range or cool as the Plasma Striker. But it's the most memorable weapon in the entire game, in my opinion. And I have fun using it every single time I use it. So I'm putting it in A tier. Spiral of Death. Oh, these were the Buzz Blades, right? Oh, it shoots us on and then it returns. Wait, did I ever end up using the Buzz Blades? Maybe it's listed under a different game. The Spiral of Death was the winner for the contest design, or weapon design contest. It does better damage than the ACIT rocket launcher. Really? It does more damage than the Warmonger and ACIT. I gotta be honest with you, I barely remember this weapon. I remember it being pretty good. I mean, the damage output is undeniable. I remember that at the very least. Alright, well, again, if it's a weapon I'm not 100% comfortable remembering in full, I will, again, redelegate to chat opinion. All of you seem to think this is a pretty busted weapon. Saw Cannon, D's nuts. I'm gonna put it above the Rift Inducer. Is that too high? That might be too high. It's a cool weapon, does a ton of damage. Does it do more than the Constructo Bomb? I actually have no idea. It's a very powerful weapon. I don't mind the idea of putting it in high A tier. I'm not even sure I necessarily mind this being an S tier, if it's really that good. It's a Draven ultimate on a weapon in Ratchet and Clank. I think I'm going to drop this above the Constructo Bomb. I think that's where I'm going to put it. In my own personal tier list, I'm going to put it in A instead of S because I just don't remember it at all. I really don't. It clearly didn't like stick with me very well. Alright, the Tesla Spikes. The Tesla Spikes, I don't remember these being very good either. Low-key OP. Very good. Yeah, the Tesla spikes were cool. They were cool. I remember that. Oh my god, I think I just remembered. Wasn't there one, which is the gun? It's all coming back to me now. Which is the gun that, like, you threw it and it was like a huge ball of energy and you used the 6-axis to control it. Wasn't that the cryo mine glove? Or was, oh, that was the Dynamo of Doom. That was the Dynamo of Doom. I always hated that weapon. I hated it. I hate that weapon. Because the 6-axis controls are total dog water. They suck. I'm gonna leave it in C. It belongs there. Anyway, the Tesla spikes, I thought they were pretty cool. I thought they were pretty cool. Were they the best weapon? Not really. I'm gonna drop the Tesla spikes in B tier. Because they're still pretty cool if you chain them together. And it's like really, like it allows you to have some creativity with how you use the range. Like you can manipulate the range and the terrain of what you're using by throwing down Tesla spikes in different spots. I remember that being pretty cool and a pretty cool, like, creative way to influence battle. But I don't remember it being a particularly strong weapon. It's worse than the Visibomb and the Constructo shotgun. I could believe that, honestly. I could believe that. I could buy that. And then the Time Bomb. This is the last of Kraken Time weapon. What is the Clank Zapper? It's in Rack 2. It's really, really bad. It's 1,000,000 bolts and it's just Clank shooting lasers out of his head. The Time Bomb. Isn't this just what Clank throws in the Great Clock? Or was this actually a weapon? It's a yeah, that's what this is. I just had to make sure. It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't make anything particularly easier. It doesn't, I mean, it's cool for sure, and it's good for puzzles. But it's not a very useful weapon in combat. I guess it is actually kind of useful, now that I'm thinking about it. It makes the Sonic Summoner, or the Hypersonic Brainwave Scrambler fight really easy. Ratchet can also use it. Yeah, I remember that as well. It's decent. It's not bad. I'm going to put it in C tier, I think. Not very useful for combat, but still has its purposes. I'm going to put this just above the Mine Glove. So let's keep going. The Dual Vipers. If it were a tier list of swag, the Dual Vipers would be #1. Or at least close to it. I think the Deadlocked Dual Vipers have got an extraordinary amount of swag. However, I think they're also a pretty bad weapon. They're really not that good at all. They do very, very little damage. Very little damage. They're not super great against bigger enemies as well. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm putting them right there. I'm putting them right there. Sorry. I know there's some people who are gonna be like, all right, and that's enough of that, and they're just gonna close the video after seeing that placement. But that's how I feel about it. I don't like the Dual Vipers. I think they suck. They put them above the Mine Glove at least. How about this? I'll just do this. No, actually, I'm not going to do that because the Mine Glove is still omega busted in Ouya multiplayer. Like, the Mine Glove, if we were just looking at Rack 1, would go way below the Dual Vipers. But because it's giga busted in Ouya multiplayer, the Mine Glove stays above. How long is the vid going to be? I have no idea. We're 2 hours deep, and we're only done with 3, 7, 11, 16, 22, 27, 31, 2, 3, 35, 41, 46. We're done with 47 weapons, and we're 2 hours in. The fusion rifle. The fusion rifle is really good. It's really good. It is a really, really, really strong weapon. I think this is easily S tier. I don't think it's game-breaking enough to be SS at all, but it's still very good. I'm going to put it... I think I'm going to put it above the Tesla Claw. I feel like I'm going to put this above the Tesla Claw. I can't justify putting it above the Bomb Glove. If I don't have Bomb Glove in SS, this is not going in SS. But yeah, I think I'm going to put it right here. It's just such a good weapon. Hollow Shield Launcher. It's certainly better than the Hollow Shield Glove, but it's still not good. The Deadlocked version is really good. Let's temper our expectations here. It's not terrible. It's not a great shield weapon, though. Let's be real here. It's not a great shield weapon. I wouldn't even put it in, like, necessarily the top 5 shields. Maybe top 5. Saying it's outside of top 5 might be a bit of over-exaggeration. But, like, between the Tesla Barrier and the Void Repulsor, I've got almost no love for the Hollow Shield Launcher. I'm going to drop this in C tier. Top of C tier. It's still good. It's still a good weapon. Or it's still a good shield, but it's not great. I don't like the weapon. It doesn't do enough cool things for me. That's how I feel about it. The Hunter Mine Launcher. The Hunter Mine Launcher is out of this world good. It is so, so good. I'm not going to put it in SS. I feel like SS has to be reserved for the cream of the crop. For, like, the absolute, like, everyone knows this is the best weapon in the game type weapon, you know? Let me think about S tier. I think it might still be a little too weak for S tier. I think A tier, there are some weapons that are stronger than it. It's very useful. Like, I think the utility of the Hunter Mine Launcher is unparalleled. Because you can just drop 1 trillion of them, and then an enemy just spawns 2 rounds later and just giga blows up. You can clip with it in the speedrun, but that, you know, I'm trying to not have that influence my decision making too much on these actual weapons. I'm gonna go ahead and say, let's drop the Hunter Mine Launcher just below just above the Spiral of Death. I love the Hunter Mine Launcher. It's a great weapon. It feels good to use. It has a lot of purpose in pretty much every portion of the game. It scales very well, damage-wise. The sounds it makes are very stimulating. I like the weapon. I'm putting it in A tier. It's like GameStop. I like the stock. I like the weapon, you know? I like the weapon. The Magma Cannon. The Magma Cannon, it's okay. It's okay. As far as shotgun weapons go, it's probably one of the better ones. But it's still not amazing, and the damage output isn't fantastic. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I may change my mind in saying it's one of the better shotguns. I think it's actually a pretty middle-of-the-road shotgun, really. There's some that are way better, and some that are a little bit worse. With the ice mod, the cannon is real good. Well, with the ice mod, everything is good. Everything is good with the best mod, you know? That's like saying that a weapon in Borderlands 2 is really good if it has slag. Like, of course, slag is easily the best upgrade, you know? That's not even close to true. The point being, a weapon is not judged by whether or not its mods make it good. So I'm gonna drop this in C tier. I'm gonna put this above the Dynamo of Doom, but that's it. The mini turret launcher. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't like the mini turret launcher. I think I just think it's okay. As far as turrets go, very forgettable. Very forgettable. Does a decent amount of damage for sure. Again, it's useful for clipping, but we're not really taking that into consideration. Or do we even clip with the turrets? I don't even think you clip with the turrets in this game. You always do it with the Hunter Mine Launcher, so we can't even take that into consideration. Not that we really would anyway. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say that this is at best a high C tier weapon. I'm personally gonna put it D tier. Actually no, I'm gonna put it in C tier. It does still have a lot of good uses. Like if you, like it actually is pretty good DPS for a weapon that you don't really have to think about. So I'm gonna put it above the Constructo pistol. Okay. B6 Obliterator. This weapon is poop. It is really, really bad. It's a bad weapon. I'd say it's probably pretty easily the worst weapon in Deadlocked. I can't think of anything worse than this in all of Deadlocked. So this is going no higher than D tier. I personally... Yeah, I feel like F is a little unfair. It's still okay. It's okay. I'm gonna put this at the very bottom of D tier. It's not horrendous enough to be F tier, but not by a lot. The Scorpion Flail. Remember how I said that SS tier is reserved for what is clearly unanimously the best weapon in the game? I'm putting it bottom of SS tier. The Scorpion Flail is the most fun weapon to use, and it completely obliterates every single enemy in the entire game. There is literally no situation in all of Deadlocked that cannot be solved with the Scorpion Flail. There's literally no situation. There is no single enemy that you can't kill using the Scorpion Flail and do it extremely fast. I'm actually gonna put this, believe it or not, this might seem a little egregious. I'm gonna put this above the Rhino 5. Maybe that's a little too much. Never mind. I got a little carried away for a second. I'm just gonna put it at the bottom of SS. There's literally, I love, like, the noise it makes. I can literally hear the Scorpion Flail noise in my head. And I haven't played Deadlocked in, like, seriously played Deadlocked. I mean, how many years at this point? And I can still hear it in my head. It feels incredible to use. And it just does so much damage. I love this weapon. I think the Scorpion Flail is not just my favorite weapon in Deadlocked, but easily one of my favorite weapons in the entire series. I think the Scorpion Flail truly captures the essence of what Ratchet and Clank is about. Too high, you're vulnerable while you're using it? No, you're not. You are not vulnerable while you're doing it. Even if you're vulnerable while you're using it, you just kill everything. You kill anything that's even close to you. So what? Maybe you're vulnerable to a laser. You kill the enemy before they can even get the laser out. It's so good. People who don't think this weapon is SS tier, like, seriously, go through the whole game and just use this on everything. It has more splash damage than the B6 Obliterator, which is a bomb. It has more splash damage than a bomb. Think about that. You have to get very close. No, you don't. You really don't. It is a mid-range melee weapon. It's a mid-range melee weapon. That's crazy. It's nuts, dude. It's nuts. It's so nuts. I'm not gonna keep going because there's nothing else I can really say about it. The Arbiter. I think the Arbiter is one of the best rhinos. I think this is also relatively deserving of SS. Oh, sorry. I got the I was looking at the Arbiter and the Harbinger are sitting right next to each other, so I got confused. That's my bad. I saw both of them at the same time because my brain is too good at processing things, right? It's too fast. It saw both of them at once and was like, the Arbiter's good. The Arbiter's good. It's not amazing. It's good. I'm gonna probably drop this in A tier. I think it's one of the better rocket launchers in the series. But I don't think it even holds a candle to the Warmonger. S tier? Possibly. I think it's better than the Devastator. I love this song, by the way. Can I just go ahead and say that I love this song? I might turn this up a little bit. It seems like it's a little quiet on your end. I don't know what this above the Fusion... yeah, I'm gonna put it above the Fusion Rifle. I'm gonna put it in S tier. Alright, the Harbinger. I mean, I said this would be reserved for only the best in each game, but Deadlocked has a very interesting problem where its weapons are either too good or too blech. It's a good problem to have. The Harbinger is easily one of the best weapons in all of Deadlocked. I'm gonna put it above the Scorpion Flail. It's better than the Scorpion Flail by sheer damage. I think the Scorpion Flail keeps up by just being a cooler gun in general. But the Supernova is legitimately so unbelievably busted. I think it's actually better than the Rhino 5. Is it better than the Warmonger? Kind of, yeah. Yeah, actually it is. There's literally no problem that can't be solved with the Harbinger. It's number 2. I'm going to put it as the number 2 weapon right now. I'm going to leave it below Groovitron. Because the Groovitron is just insane. The Groovitron was consistently busted across 3 different games. So, 4 different games, actually. It was the best weapon in 4 different games. I don't know. It's going to take a lot for the Groovitron to be beat by anything. Is Groovitron just for memes? No. It's legitimately the best weapon so far. I mean, think about it. There's literally no situation in all of Tools, ACIT, FFA, or 2016 that doesn't... that isn't made... at least 12 times easier with the Groovitron. Cryo Shot. Full Frontal Assault. Was this an exclusive gun to Full Frontal Assault? I mean, it looks like it's the only one from Full Frontal Assault that's unique. I don't remember this being any good, and Full Frontal Assault was a bad game, so I'm gonna put this in F tier. I'm gonna put it right next to its buddy. I'm gonna put it right next to its Frost buddy from All for One. The Blitz Gun. The Blitz Gun's good. It's actually a lot better than I gave it credit for. But it's still not amazing. I think that A tier is too much. I really put the... Oh, I thought for a second I thought it said Hunter Mine Launcher. I was like, what the hell was I thinking? I'm gonna put Blitz Gun in B tier. It's actually pretty good. I'm gonna put it above the Chimpo-Matic. It does a lot of damage. It has a good spread, and it's relatively long range for a shotgun. It does have problems in the late game since it doesn't do a whole lot. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna drop this to C tier. I feel like it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to leave a weapon like this in B tier. It's good early on, but it definitely isn't very good for much longer than that. So I'm going to put it above the Dynamo of Doom. I'm going to put it right next to the Magma Cannon, but a little bit lower, because I think the Magma Cannon is just better. Oh, boy. The one you've all been waiting for. Cryo Shot, when you freeze your enemies, you get 20 times more XP for all your other weapons. Is that actually true? I feel like those numbers are too ridiculous to be true. In going Commando... it is an A tier weapon. Possibly low S, but not any higher than that. In Ouya, it's still pretty decently powerful. I would say it's A tier firmly in Ouya. Yeah, the bouncer in Ouya has a ton of ammo. 60 doesn't sound right to me. I don't think the bouncer is... Well, maybe fully upgraded. It might have 60. I'm just thinking about PBSPI runs when you get the default bouncer. Yeah, 60. Unless the blue one has 60, I don't think that's not true for the earlier. That's not true for the early bouncer. Hold on, let's see this. Let's take a look at this. It's good in Ouya. I don't think it's as good as it was in Going Commando. In 2016, the bouncer was pretty solid, if I recall correctly, but it had the pre-order nonsense, which kind of sullied the experience. And in Rift Apart, it's actually unironically pretty good. Like it's probably pretty high up there for Rift Apart as well. It's actually really strong. So I don't know. Listen. I think the bouncer is still overrated. There's literally no way in hell it is an SS tier weapon. There's no way in hell it's even mid S tier. The bouncer is scuffed and you can't change my mind. In Rack 2, it takes like max 2 shots to kill standard enemies and it kills multiple. Just because it kills enemies fast doesn't mean it's as effective as other weapons, you know? Or just because it kills enemies in a few amount of shots, rather. Because, like, the Mega Rocket Tube does more DPS than the Bouncer does. The Mega Rocket Tube is better than the Bouncer in Rack 2. The Bouncer's 100k. I mean, yeah, but the Mega Rocket Tube's 50k. It's free in Ouya, 1 bolt and Rift Apart. Yeah, you know what? I guess that's relatively convincing. It is only 1 bolt. And it's free if you've played Rack 2 in Ouya. It's free if you download it, and yeah, I mean, I guess just for legacy's sake, I'm gonna put it, I'm gonna probably put it right here. I'll probably put it just above the Pyrocitor, but not above the Tesla Claw. Actually, maybe I will put it above the Tesla Claw. Yeah, I'll put the Bouncer here in mid-S tier. I'll put it in mid-S tier. I know Wrench Swing resets cooldown for the Bouncer, but that still doesn't mean anything. Because even, like, listen, it is still faster to kill enemies in the Tabora Desert with the Mega Rocket Tube than it is to kill them with the Bouncer, even with Wrench resets. I would honestly put this in only A tier if Rift Apart's Bouncer wasn't so good. I'm gonna be real about that. I would put it in A tier if it wasn't so good in Rift Apart. Because it's a very overrated gun in Going Commando Ouya in 2016. Very overrated. But it is very, very, very strong in Rift Apart. So I'm going to put it in S tier. The Chopper. The Chopper is not good. The Chopper sucks. This weapon is so bad. I'm trying to think. Is it horrendous enough to be an F tier? Yes, it is. But do I feel like it's as bad as, say, the Zoni Blaster? Do I feel like it's worse than the B6 Obliterator? It's 5k bolts. Well, see, here's the thing. Here's why I don't excuse the Chopper. Here's why I don't excuse it. Because you get the Gravity Bomb and the Lancer for free at the very beginning, and those weapons are sick. Like, they are so good for free weapons. The Chopper, you can only move if you jump while throwing it. Otherwise, you're planted into the ground. The upgrade isn't good, and it falls off after, like, a Daco. This is not a good weapon. It does decent damage. It doesn't cost a lot. I don't think it does decent damage. I really don't. I think this weapon is purely terrible. It's good for small enemies. That's not an argument, though, because every weapon is good for small enemies. Like if an enemy dies in 1 hit from the Chopper, it's probably going to die in 1 hit from literally anything else, too. You know? Yeah, literally the Wrench is good for small enemies. You know? I have a soft spot for the multi-circuits, how I can dominate the B2 Brawler. Think about it this way. Think about it this way. The gold bomb glove is 2,000. The excusability of the chopper loses a lot of its luster to me. I'm going to put it at the top of F tier. I hate this weapon. I think it's really bad. I think even though it's the cheapest weapon aside from the bomb glove, it doesn't do any actual real job and effectively just prevents you from buying the blitz gun sooner. I'm putting it at the very, very top of F tier. Gravity bomb. Gravity bomb's good. It's unironically good. It falls off a bit in its later upgrades. But it's extremely useful throughout the entire any percent run. Well, maybe not towards the end. But it's still good up until, like... I don't know. When would you realistically stop using this weapon? Probably sometime around Tadano. Maybe a little bit earlier. You would stop using this weapon. But think about it that way. Think about it this way. Like, a weapon that you get for free, the very first weapon you get, is still useful even past the halfway point in the game. Actually, you could argue this weapon is useful for Barlow. You could actually argue, or not Barlow, Bolden. You could argue this weapon's useful for Bolden. And even Aranos too a little bit. So I think it's a solid weapon. It's not great. The upgrades are good. They're not nearly as powerful as the other weapons in Rack 2. I think overall it's a B tier weapon. And I'm going to put it just below the Constructo shotgun. I think it's a very good weapon. I think it gets outclassed by a few much more important weapons in Rack 2. But I still think for what it does, it's extremely solid. I think you could argue putting this in A tier. But I'm personally feeling B tier. The hover bomb glove. Zem doesn't really know how good it is when it's upgraded. I know how good it is. I know how good it is. Listen, I'm saying it's good, but there's a lot of other weapons that do the same job and better. Yeah, Ricky, I couldn't justify putting this anywhere other than SS. I mean, think of it this way, right? Is the gravity bomb really better than the Constructo bomb? No, it's not. Is it more memorable than the Sonic Eruptor? No, it's not. Does it have more DPS than the Devastator? No. It's not better than the Constructo bomb. It's not. The Blaster, maybe you could argue I've ranked the Blaster too high. But I think the Blaster is pretty iconic. But listen, okay, here's the thing. If you only go off of the max level of every weapon, of course they're going to be unbelievably good, you know? Even the Ultra Heavy Lancer shreds the final Proto Pet, right? But it's relative to the other weapons that are within the game, you know? It's the only proper way you can scale it. The Gravity Bomb is good. I'm not saying it's bad. Is it above the Visibomb? Yeah, I put it above the Visibomb, actually. I'll put it at the top of B tier. And I think I'm actually going to drop the Blaster back down to right below the Gravity Bomb. Actually, no. I'm going to leave Blaster where it was. The Blaster is actually giga broken at shredding Drek. Like, you can actually beat Drek using only the Blaster. And Drek is a health sponge. I mean, it's not easy to do it, but you can do it. And it's 2,500 bolts. Yeah. So, I'm just saying, I don't think it's bad. I think you all are assuming I think that B tier is bad. I know the Gravity Bomb is good. But there's so many other weapons that do its job a lot better until you get the max rank. Like, the mini nuke is good to a certain point, and then it stops being nearly as useful as, say, the bouncer, or the mini rocket tube, or the hover bomb gun, or really anything. I don't know. Okay, hover bomb glove, speaking of which, or hover bomb gun. I think this gun is insane. I know in my original tier list, I put it in SS tier because of the speedrunning strat. Like I said, this time around, I'm trying to not think about the speedrunning strats as much. So I'm not going to put it in SS tier because that excludes poking. if I did include poking, this would be SS easily. Hover bomb is so good, guys. It's a good weapon. And I think the people who think it's weak assume, or maybe don't necessarily 100% know its full usage. I don't know how many of you know this, and this is something I actually literally just learned. You can control where the hover bomb goes. You can literally control the entire movement of the hover bomb. It is not just a doom, 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 doom. You can go up, down, all around. Like, you can do literally whatever you want with this. It is effectively a slower version of the Visibomb. And more powerful than the Visibomb. Before upgrade, it's kind of meh. I actually disagree. I think before the upgrade, the hover bomb is disgustingly good anyway. I think the DPS on this weapon is really undervalued. Like, it can kill nearly anything with only a few hover bombs. And I think it's super fun to use. I'm not going to put it in S tier because I don't think it gets really, really good until you upgrade it. But I'm at the very least putting this in A tier. It one-shots the Leviathan. It doesn't one-shot the Leviathan. Wait, where did I just end up putting that? Where did that land? Where is it? Oh, here it is. It's in C tier. No, it doesn't one-shot the Leviathans. It's actually really bad against the Leviathans. It's good against the Yetis, but it's really bad against the Leviathans. When upgraded, yeah. Then it definitely can. Controlling it sucks ass, though. I don't think it's that bad to control, personally. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm putting this in A tier. I'm putting it in A tier. Are you judging based on speedrun utility? Very, very little. Maybe a little tiny bit of it's going into my opinion, Savage, but not that much. I still don't think it's better than the Constructo Bomb. I am going to put it above the Plasma Striker. It's very expensive for a weapon that only has 10 ammo to start with. Yeah, but it blows up a lot of stuff. Listen, I'm not saying it's as good as the Bouncer. The Bouncer's S tier for a reason. I think in going Commando, the Hover Bomb and the Bouncer are comparably good. Like, they are comparably useful and good weapons. So I'm putting Hover Bomb in A tier. This is exactly where I would put the Hover Bomb or the Bouncer if it didn't have it. If the Bouncer wasn't in 2016 or Rift Apart, I would put it literally right here. It's an A tier weapon in going Commando and Ouya, and it just so happens to be like giga good in 2016 and Rift Apart. Bouncer also has 60 ammo. Yeah. So that's another reason why the Bouncer should be above the Hover Bomb gun. Like, what usually ends up happening is a lot of the companies don't really provide anything that entertaining, and then Nintendo does, like, they go Metroid, and then everyone goes, Nintendo just saved E3. Nintendo saved it. Nintendo saved it. So the Lancer. I think the Lancer. Oh yeah, Jess is really excited about that one. The Lancer's okay. I think it's just a very middle of the road weapon. I'm gonna be real with you. It's really good early on. The upgrade is good as well. It's good for dealing with bosses, honestly. Throughout the entire early and mid game. But I think that especially later on in the games, and especially the Omega upgrades, just not very good. I think it very quickly gets outdone by a lot of the better weapons, but it's still a free weapon, and it's still, like, overall good. I'm gonna put it right here, just above the Chimpo-Matic. That's where I'm gonna put it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. In retrospect, the Blaster is probably a lot better. The Blaster is definitively a lot better. There's no enemy in the entire game that the Blaster can't handle. Whereas in going Commando, it starts to be a little rough around that time you get to the end of the game. The Lancer starts... It gets a lot less fun to use. The Meteor Gun. The Meteor Gun is really good. It's really good. Y'all sleep on the meteor gun. I remember seeing so many people be like, once you level up the lava gun, people are like, oh, you know, once you upgrade it, it sucks ass. It doesn't. It's actually one of the biggest single target DPS weapons in the entire game, or one of the best single target DPS weapons. I don't like it as much as the liquid nitrogen gun personally, but that's because the liquid nitrogen gun is one of my favorite weapons in the entire series. But I think it's still a very good gun. One that I would still probably put over liquid nitrogen. Anyway. I think I ranked this A tier the last time I did this tier list. I think I'm still gonna rank it in A tier. It's good. It's not amazing, but it's still very, very solid. So I'm gonna put it just above Hover Bomb. Just because I like it better than Hover Bomb anyway. Yeah, it's great as the lava gun. It's great as the meteor gun. I just think it's a sick weapon. I would argue bottom of S. I'm not going to get that crazy with it. Here's the thing. It's actually hard. It actually makes it harder to gauge the relative skill of all the Rack 2 weapons because the Rhino is so busted. It only costs 25k and drills bosses. Yeah, you know what? That's actually a pretty fair argument. That's a pretty fair argument. I'll at the very least put it... Oh, wait, that's the Constructo Bomb. I'm at the very least going to put it at the top of A tier. I'm going to put it at the top of A tier, bare minimum. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. That feels good to me. The Mini Rocket Tube. Extremely underrated gun. Extremely underrated. I think it does everything the meteor gun wants to do, but better. The only problem is that it has way less ammo, but when it's upgraded, it does a load. This is definitely, in my opinion, an A-tier weapon. Do I think it's above the Devastator? I actually do. I think it's better than the Devastator. Not really so much until you upgrade it, which is kind of a problem. Like the base mini rocket tube is not amazing, but when you level it up, it's actually really good. So I'm going to put it just above the Plasma Striker and just below the Hover Bomb. Yeah, that's where I'm going to put that. The Mini Turret Glove. If we're ignoring speedrunning strats, obviously if you include speedrunning, this quickly becomes an A tier, S tier, possibly even SS tier weapon. And I'm taking it as I go, Dan. I'm basically just trying to see how I feel about each weapon as I go through it. Trying to logically parse it out based on how the upgrades feel as well. Mini Turret Glove, I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't like this weapon that much. It's obviously good for DPS. Damage output wise, I would say probably somewhere around B or A tier for both games. In Ouya, I think it's a little stronger than it is in Going Commando. In Going Commando with the shock mod, it's actually really good. Like, it's pretty good at keeping enemies contained. I would say it's much better in Ouya, though, than it is in Going Commando. So, yeah, realistically, I think if we were just judging off of Ouya, I would put it in high A. If we're putting it in Going Commando, I'd probably put it in mid or low B. So, I think I'm just going to drop it probably right here at the top of B tier, if I'm being honest. It feels good enough to use. I mean, obviously, it just adds DPS, but it's not super fun. I just don't really like it that much, personally. I know some people probably want to put it in A tier. Not a big fan of it. Really not a big fan of it. Wait, where did I put the Deadlocked turrets again? I forget. Where did I put those? Constructo, Cryomine. Oh, Mini Turret Launcher right here. Middle of C tier. Yeah, they are pretty good in Deadlock when they're fully upgraded, but they're kind of painful to use. I'm going to hold firm on my opinion here. I think the Mini Turret Launcher in Deadlocked is worse than the Mini Turret Glove. Just an overall feel, maybe not even necessarily damage output, but just an overall usefulness. Where's the Breaking Bad Blue Sky gun? What is this referring to, Dill? I thought the Dynamo of Doom was insanely broken. Am I a turbo nerd casual? I gotta be honest, I just didn't really like the Dynamo of Doom all that much. I mean, I know it's a pretty good weapon. It just didn't really feel good to use for me, and I hated having the 6-axis attached to it. So that's more of a personal one for me. I just think there's a lot of weapons in ACIT that are just very, very good. And the Dynamo gets outclassed relatively quickly. So that's why I dropped it in C tier. If I'm being actually realistic, I should probably swap these two. No, the Cryomine Glove is actually pretty good if I remember correctly. The freezing capabilities are pretty good. If anything, I might swap the Dynamo of Doom with the Tesla Spikes. Yeah, I might actually do that. I'm gonna swap these two around. I didn't mean to influence your list. No, that's okay. I kind of needed to be reminded that it's actually a good weapon. Because I don't really remember it all too much myself. But I don't think it's that strong. I think the Dynamo... actually, no. Let me have some conviction here. I'm going to move up the Dynamo of Doom to above the Hollow Shield Launcher, but no higher than that. That's where I'm going to put it. I'm going to have some conviction here. Okay. The Plasma Coil. This weapon is giga broken. Yeah, I mean, this weapon is so good. It's not good for single target, but it's literally the best wave clearing weapon. It's the best non-Rhino wave clearing weapon out of any of them, I think. I'm not gonna put it in SS because it's not completely game breaking. I think if you're gonna drop the Plasma Coil in SS, you're kind of forgetting about this. Which, you know what? I'm just gonna do this now. I'm just gonna do this now. I mean, the Rhino 2 and Going Commando is so absurdly broken, and it's not even close. Like, it is... Casually, it is so much better than every other weapon. And I'm only putting it here because of casual. If it were speedrunning purposes, I would still drop this in S tier. I want to be clear about that. I would still drop this into only S tier if we included speedrunning more. But I think casually, there's just no question. I mean, it's literally this and the Bomb Glove are the two most broken weapons in all of Rack 2. It actually makes it... the reason why I think you can argue so many different weapons go in so many different spots in Rack 2 is because this is so much stronger than every other weapon that it actually becomes harder to tell how strong the other weapons are. Because there's literally no situation where you don't use the Rhino. It has 100 ammo. You get ammo drops from crates. Like, it's from a casual perspective, it's completely broken. How well does the weapon do against Fox? I mean, you have to consider that kind of stuff, right? You have to. If a weapon isn't more useful than the Scorpion Flail, or at least as cool, how can you possibly justify putting an SS, you know? I think it's kind of funny, though, that we can do that sort of thing. Does the Bomb Glove do decent damage in Going Commando? I can't remember it being good. The gold Bomb Glove is 2,000 bolts and kills everything. It's absurdly broken, Jess. It's giga busted. Giga busted. The only reason why I have it in S instead of clear SS tier is because the Bomb Glove in Ratchet 1 is only really good. Like, it's not absurdly broken in Ratchet 1. It's only really, really good. Okay, so back to the Plasma Coil. I am going to put this in S tier. It's better than the Rift Inducer. It's better than the Pyrocitor. It's better than the Tesla Claw. It's better than the Bouncer. It's better than the Fusion Rifle. It's better than the Arbiter. And overall, better than the Bomb Glove. I think if you combine how good it is in Ratchets 2 and 3 and compare that against the Bomb Glove in Ratchets 1 and 2, this is slightly better. I think that's the perfect placement. This is not an SS tier weapon. It's not game breaking. The Bomb Glove is free though. It's free for sure, and it's useful. But there's never a situation where you don't want to be using the Plasma Coil.
Oh, thank you.
Whereas the Bomb Glove isn't always useful in Ratchet 1. And yeah, it's also free in Ouya. It's free in Ouya if you played Rack 2. I'm calling bullshit on it not being at least the very bottom of SS. But the thing is, Dan, and this is my rationale, is that it's only really strong against big waves of enemies. If you're going single target, or you're going smaller waves of enemies, or like a more concentrated It may not be the best weapon to use. You may want to use something like a hover bomb or a mini rocket tube. And furthermore, the Rhino 2 is just so broken casually that I can't justify putting this in the same tier. I can't justify putting the Plasma Coil in the same tier as the Rhino. So that's my argument. I mean, granted, if you want to put it in SS, I can't stop you. But for me personally, it makes sense to put it right here. Yeah, you also don't get plasma coil ammo in crates in Ouya, only in Going Commando. 82 weapons to go. We're nearly halfway done. I gotta start moving through this a little faster. Okay, the pulse rifle. I'm gonna be real with you. I think this weapon is garbage. I think this weapon is stinky doo-doo. I do not like it. I think in my original tier list, I put it in D tier. Maybe I'll be a little kinder this time around. It's not as awful as, say, the Dual Vipers or Mr. Zircon. I don't see that. And it's not nearly as good as the other sniper rifles in the series, but it's still pretty fun to use. It has almost no DPS. I think I'll probably honestly put it at the top of D tier. Maybe the absolute middle of C tier, maximum. But I don't see it being better than the Time Bomb. I don't see it being better than the Mine Glove. I think even the Pixelizer is better for a lot of situations. And the Thunder Smack in All for One actually has some use, even though I hate All for One and I hate all the weapons in it. So I'm going to put the Pulse Rifle at the top of D tier. Some of you may disagree with me. I just think this is just such an unimpressive sniper rifle. It's cool that this is, I mean, props to Insomniac on putting the sniper rifle in there in the first place. This is the first true to form sniper rifle in the series. But every other sniper rifle is better. Every other one. There's not a single sniper rifle in the entire series that doesn't do a better job. Rhino 2 is better sniper than the Pulse Rifle. That's true. That's actually true. Alright, the Seeker Gun. Listen up. Listen, the Seeker Gun is okay. It's not very good, though. It's really not that good. In my original rating, I think I put it in B tier. I think I'm going to lower it this time around. I don't think it's a B tier weapon anymore. I mean, are you going to tell me it's better than the Lancer? Absolutely not. It is doo-doo. I do not like the Seeker Gun. I don't like it at all. I think I'm going to drop it in... It's more useful than the Pulse Rifle and has way more ammo. I think I'm going to put it in C tier. I think I'm going to put it just above the Pixelizer. I think when you have the one that fires 3 of them, it's actually pretty decent. And the Seeker, I mean, it's in general, it doesn't have bad DPS for a 5k bolt weapon. But I think in general, it's just still very weak. Seeker is great for scared kids first playing Ratchet and Clank not knowing where enemies hide. Yeah, I can agree with that for sure. I can definitely agree with that. Alright, the Sheepinator. If this included the speedrun, I would put it no lower than S tier. Maybe. I forget, where did I put it last time? I think I put it actually... Where the hell did I put the thing? I don't even remember. I thought I put it somewhere around S or A tier, though. And frankly, I'm probably going to put it in A tier. Maybe even less than that, actually. I think the Sheepinator... I think in general, the morphing guns just aren't very good. They're fun to use, and they're really silly and quirky. I just don't think it's very useful, though. Especially in Rack 2, where a lot of the enemies take forever to sheep. Where did I end up putting the chicken gun? Did I put it in D tier? I did put it in D tier. It's definitely not D tier. I think I'm going to put it above the Chimp-O-Matic, because I do like it better than the Chimp-O-Matic as a weapon. And the only reason I put it up here to begin with in B tier is because chimps are really funny. And so I think if it's going to be a better weapon, if I'm going to rate it as a better weapon, I'm going to put it in B tier. The Shield Charger. Easy SS tier. Easy. It's not even a consideration. For the same reason that Groovitron is SS tier, There is literally no situation ever in any scenario that you could possibly be in. There is no situation where the optimal move is not put on a shield. Like, you start some combat, there's a wave of enemies around you. What do you do? What do you do first? You put on a shield. You're in the crazy big boss fight, you know? You're not sure if your weapons will be able to handle it. You don't even know how much damage the boss does. What do? Put on a shield. There is legitimately nothing in the game that you do before putting on the shield. It doesn't shred as much as the Harbinger or the Rhino, but its utility is so insane that I might end up putting it at the top of SS tier anyway. I think in my original tier list, I put it as the #1 weapon in the entire series. And I legitimately think that I might do the same thing here. I think I might do the same thing here. I might put it a little bit below the Groovatron, actually. Okay, wait, let me think about this. Is it as good as the Groovatron? No. Because the Groovatron protects you and makes enemies useless. So it's not as good as the Groovatron. Is it as good as the Harbinger? The Harbinger kills everything so fast you never need shields. Is it as good as the Rhino 2? Well, it's kind of like the ultimate sword versus, or the unstoppable force versus the unbreakable object. You can't die if you have the shield charger, but you can't kill anything if you just have, or if you don't have the Rhino, right? So, I think these two are pretty good together. I think if you were to pair that combination up, it's the strongest Ratchet ever gets in any Ratchet game, period. Did the shield charger prevent losing the bolt multiplier? No. I think just for the sake of the argument of this doesn't do as much absurd DPS, I am going to put it a little bit below the Rhino 2. But I also admit that there's like literally there's nothing you do first in Rack 2. The 2 steps to kill any enemy at any time are some combination of put on the shield charger and pull out the Rhino, no matter what. So I think it's a pretty good spot for it. Let me just get a couple things real quick here. I'd like to talk a little bit and then take a little bit of a break to talk to all of you. Pirata, thank you so much for the Prime sub. That's a brand new subscriber. We've been getting a ton of new subs here lately, and it's so sick to see a ton of new viewers. If you all can do me a favor and post some Zemi winks in the chat for Pirata. We're trying to get a lot of use of Zemi wink going here. I love Zemi stab. I don't want that to go away. But Zemi wink is brand spanking new, and so I want to use it a little bit more. I also wanted to say hello to Shan, first time chatter. Way cooler than the Groovatron. I agree, but I still think the Groovatron is just unbelievably busted. When Zemi DN? Yo, let's go, Tanner. Zemi stab is superior. Yeah, but I need people to know that Zemi wink is alive, because she's just so fucking cute. I mean, you're gonna tell me that Glitch isn't the most adorable part of that game? I mean, come on. She's so cute. I love her, man. I love Glitch. I just met you a few months ago on YouTube, and I love your content. I'm from Spain, by the way. Well, hola. It's great to have you here. I can't speak any Spanish other than that, but there are plenty of Spanish speakers here if you ever want to get to know any of them. A lot of them are super chill. Rivet and Kit are both better than Glitch, TBH. Yeah, but I'm talking about just sheer cuteness. Like, Kit and Rivet are like 8s or 9s out of 10 across the board for cuteness. Glitch, I get so much cute aggression when I see Glitch that I legitimately want to punch something. Hell yeah. Well, Shan, it's great to have you as a part of the stream, you know. I always say that, you know, we're trying to get a lot more emphasis on the YouTube stuff lately. I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not. The YouTube is doing tremendously well lately. It is doing so well because of all of you who have been stopping by, watching the streams. Spider-Bot Glove. Spider-Bot Glove is okay. I don't think it's that great, honestly. The Spider-Bot Glove, okay, I'm going to be real with you all. I don't think this weapon's that good. Spider-Bot stacking, if I were including speedrunning strats, this would be like easy S tier, bare minimum. But other than that, I mean, it's cool to use for puzzles. It's cool to use maybe if you just want to like hide behind a corner. But the damage isn't very good, and I just don't really like it, if I'm being honest with you. It's kind of useful, like the Visibomb. I mean, maybe, but like in my original tier list that included speedrunning stuff, I put the Spiderbot glove. Where the hell did I drop this thing? I've got it pulled up right now. I dropped it in A tier specifically for Spiderbot stacking. I think it's fun, but that's about it. I'm gonna drop it down to C tier. I still like it better than the Seeker Gun. I like it better than the Drone Device. I don't like it as much as the Constructo Pistol. I actually think I'm gonna move the Drone Device down below the Time Bomb. Synthenoids. These things suck. There's $65,000 or 65,000 bolt. 65,000 bolt item does nearly no damage and isn't even good when it's that up. Like, even at its max upgrade, it's like decent, but it's not nearly as good as some of the other weapons. I don't know, man. In my opinion, I don't think it's bad enough to be F tier. I don't think it's as bad as the Chopper. But it's not much better than that. I'm gonna put it here, right here. That's where I'm gonna put it. Free damage? Yeah, I don't like that argument, though. I don't like it. A weapon should still be fun to have and use. And the Synthenoids are literally just the worst part of Deadlocked. I mean, granted, it's not as egregious as Deadlocked, where they literally made an entire game out of it. But it's 65,000 bolts for something that's effectively useless. Like, it is not good. Even if it does stack damage, that's still not good. The Zodiac. The Zodiac is okay. It is not nearly good enough for a weapon that costs 1.5 million bolts. But it's not bad either. I think it's a little disappointing, but it still has a lot of uses. It is like the best weapon at clearing waves of enemies. Although it only has 4 ammo. And its only real usefulness is on Grelbin when there's a trillion Yetis. Aside from that, I really can't think of any circumstance where you're using the Zodiac and you're like, wow, I'm so glad I chose to use the Zodiac over the Rhino. I think it's still better than some of these. I think it still has more use than the Dynamo of Doom. I mean, Dynamo of Doom is really good for the Hydra tanks, but it's not really good for much else. I think I'm just gonna drop this just above the Lancer. No, I'm gonna drop it just below the Lancer for the disrespect. A 1.5 million bolt item is worse than the free weapon you get at the very beginning. All right, I think we're officially done with Rack 2. So now all we have left is Into the Nexus, Ripped Apart, Secret Agent Clank, Size Matters, some random future stuff, Ouya, and that's it. Easy. All right, Nether Beast from Into the Nexus. I'm gonna be real with you. I think a lot of the Into the Nexus weapons are just not that good. I don't think any of them really deserve to be higher than like B tier, except for maybe the Rhino 7. No going mobile? Shut up. That barely constitutes a game. And the only one that's even good from going mobile is the base blaster. I don't really remember some of these. The only ones in Into the Nexus that I remember that well are like the Nether Blades was pretty cool. The Nightmare Box was really bad. The Omni Blaster was okay. The Vortex Grenade was okay. The Rhino 7 was okay. Nether Beast is okay. It's middle of the road. It's not good. It's not bad. I'm going to drop it right here. Nether Blades, I think, are really cool thematically. I actually really like them. It's one of my favorites Into the Nexus. Again, it follows the theme of Nether. Damage-wise, I don't really remember how much damage it does, but nothing really does that much damage in the Nexus other than the Rhino 7. I'm gonna put this in lower A tier. I mean, it's worse than the Buzz Blades, but it's still pretty cool thematically. I like the look of the gun. So, actually, no, I'm going to drop it in B tier. I'm going to put it below the Tesla spikes. The Nightmare Box, it was an interesting idea. They tried it. I think it's not very good. I think it's a pretty dog water weapon. You use it in the speedrun to clip. But aside from that, I mean, it's just okay. It's not as good as the Groovatron. It's meant to be a substitute. Didn't really work out. It's kind of memorable. I don't know. I'm going to put it right here, right next to the decoy glove. I'm going to put it right next. I'm going to put it right below the decoy glove. Still useful, works on bosses. Yeah, that's fair. The Omni Blaster. Omni Blaster is okay. I mean, there's really... Can I just say it? There's nothing in this game that impressed me. There's absolutely nothing in Into the Nexus that impresses me. It all just felt like worse versions of weapons that already existed. Except for maybe the Winterizer. Omni Blaster is good because it replaced the Combustor. Oh my god. That's not much of an argument, though. I'm going to put it below the Constructo Pistol. Below Spider-Bot, below... Yeah, I'm going to put it, like, right here. Yes, there will be, Lander. This whole thing is going up on YouTube. This whole thing. 13. We're down to 71. 71 weapons. Alright, the Rhino 7, bootleg Rhino 5, not nearly as good. Still easily the best weapon in all of Into the Nexus. But I just don't like it. I'm gonna be real with you, I don't like it. I think it's one of the lamest Rhinos. I'm gonna put it above the Proto Suit because the Proto Suit is stupid. It's still the best weapon in all of of Into the Nexus. So, I'm gonna probably put it... I'll probably put it right around here. That's where I'll put it. Right there at near the top of A tier. Bouncer Benjamins, we won. You don't give yourselves that much credit. You guys literally only have this in S tier. You Bouncer Benjamins. It's literally only S tier because of 2016 and Rift Apart. Other than that, it is a firmly A tier weapon. And I still stand by that. Hey, don't make me do it. I'll do it out of spite if I have to. We won. All right. You all can thank Captain Lazy for this one. Nah, I'll put it back. I'll put it back over here. Thank you, the real. Oh my God, are we all happy about this? All right, I think we're all happy about this. Yeah, I think everybody's happy about this. I mean, you all said thank you, right? You all definitely said that. I'm not that spiteful. I'm not that petty. But yes, you can. If anything, you should be thanking Rift Apart. If anything, you should be thanking Rift Apart because in Rift Apart, the bouncer is legitimately so good. It's like it's giga busted. If the Warmonger didn't exist, the bouncer would probably be one of the best weapons. And it's only one bolt in Rift Apart as well, which makes it even better. The Temporal Repulsor. Again, I don't remember it. It wasn't very memorable to me, so it must not have been very good. If it was good and you're really pissed off about it, sorry, maybe you should have stand a better game. I'm gonna put it right here. Does that seem does that seem fair? It seems fair to me. The Warmonger is not that good in Rift Apart. Oh, it is. It is the highest DPS weapon in the entire game. Yeah, it really is that good. Yeah, if you guys have any sort... okay, let me tell you something real quick. If you guys are pissed off about the placement of any weapon on this list, you can feel free to give me feedback, okay? I want to know your opinions. All you got to do is fill out a form in triplicate on twitch.tv/zem92/subscribe and click one of the options. It says... It's going to say $5 or $10 or $25. Don't worry about that. Just don't worry about it. It's just a formality. Okay. The Vortex Grenade. Again, I don't remember it. It must not be very good if it's not that memorable. I feel like this is just such a middle-of-the-road game. I'm going to put it right next to the Omni Blaster. The Winterizer is like the one cool weapon from Into the Nexus. I actually think it's really... The one really cool weapon. Yeah, pun not intended, but of course, some people are going to see it that way for sure. I think it's a really interesting weapon. I think it's the first time they had done a freezing weapon correctly. And I like that it turns them into snowmen. It's the one thing I remember from this game. I think it's one of the best morphing weapons. And so because of that, I'm going to put it probably lowest on A tier because it makes my heart happy every time I turn them into a snowman. Every single time. Winterizer's not great. It takes ages. Upgraded, it's all right with the explosion. I'm just going to say I just like this weapon a lot. And you can't stop me. There is no rhyme or reason to why I put this in A tier. I just think it's one of the best designed weapons in the future trilogy, in the future series. Real quick, does anyone want to say anything before we get into the Rift Apart weapons? Because, oh boy, do I have a lot to say about the Rift Apart weapons. We're finally into the Rift Apart section of the game. And I'm going to be real with you. I have issues with maybe 3 or 4 weapons in this game. I think by and large, they're all incredible. Starting off strong with the Black Hole Storm, this is easily the best railgun. I think it's everything they ever set out to do with the Rhinos. I still think Rhino 5 gets the edge over the Black Hole Storm because the Black Hole Storm is a relatively weaker weapon. But I still like that they took the idea of the chain gun and made it a standard weapon. So I'm going to drop this actually into high A tier. It's not as good as people think it is, but it's still very fun to use. I'm going to drop this at the very top of A tier. The Bombardier. I thought the Bombardier sucked for a while. And then once I started dumping some Raritanium into it, I realized it was actually really good. It's still not super strong. It's cool looking. Yeah, Bon Voyage, it really, like... Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Wait, is this the Obama gun? I'm confusing this with the Shatter Bomb. I'm sorry. I confused this with the Shatter Bomb. I apologize. The Bombardier, I called it the Obama gun so many times, I forgot that this was the Obama gun. This weapon is horrendous. This is easily the worst weapon in the entire game. Easily. And it's not even a question. This is the worst weapon in the game. This is easy F tier. This weapon sucks ass. I'm gonna put it just below the chopper. This weapon is terrible. Absolutely terrible. You not used it much then? I used it as much as I had to. I will say this, actually. Actually, I'm not gonna put it in F tier. I'm gonna put it in D tier because with infinite ammo, it actually does a lot of damage to the bosses. Because it actually does, like, if you throw bombardiers over and over at bosses, it goes pow, 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 and does a shitload. However, all right, let me think about this. With infinite ammo, anything is good though. Yeah, that's true. All right, I'm gonna put this back in F tier. It gets 5 ammo maximum, and it's terrible. It's painful to upgrade. It's painful to use. It doesn't do anything. It's a very terrible gun. You can use 2 bombardiers while shooting other guns. Yeah, but again, I don't really like the whole like additional DPS thing, because by the time you get their most powerful weapons, you're already killing enemies so fast that throwing out bombardiers is just a waste of time. If it were like, imagine if it were an over-the-shoulder turret. Imagine if you throw out a bombardier and it like breaks into 4 parts and hovers around Ratchet's body and then shoots bombs from all directions. That would be so sick. That would be so cool. This weapon, though, is just garbage. I'm putting it in F tier. I hate it. Where's the Trump gun? When we get a really fat orange gun that doesn't really do anything, we'll call that one the Trump gun. The burst pistol. The burst pistol is actually really bad. I'm gonna put this in D tier. It was fun to use at first, but then it very quickly got overpowered by literally every single other thing in the entire game. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like this. This is a D tier weapon for me. This is a D tier. It barely avoids being F tier because it's actually really fun to use. Like, I love seeing the enemies, like, slowly get staggered by it. But, yeah, I'm gonna leave this, I'm gonna put this right here at the bottom of D tier. And here we are. Good morning, Ben. The Cold Snap is easily SS tier. I'm actually going to put it right here. It is easily SS tier. It's the best weapon in all of Rift Apart, and it's not even close. You can Cold Snap and then Hyper Strike with the Box Breaker and in one hit all non-boss enemies. Is that actually true? That's insane. Yeah, the Cold Front also has a lasting AoE, so you can freeze the one enemy off of one shot multiple times. The Cold Snap is just so ridiculous. We have to keep moving on, but yeah, it's such a good weapon. I loved the Drill Hound. I really did. I thought it was a really powerful weapon. Is it a damage buff or an armored debuff? I mean, it's probably a debuff. I don't think I mean, really, they're kind of, I don't think there's a difference right now. I mean, maybe we'll find an enemy. I think it's probably just a damage buff if I had to guess. The Drill Hound, I think, is a great weapon conceptually. I think it's a sick weapon. It does a ton of damage. I like it a lot. This is an easy A tier weapon for me. Easy A tier. I'm going to put it above the Hunter Mine Launcher. I don't think it's as fun to use as the Black Hole Storm, but it's very, very good. Glove of Doom, this weapon sucks. There's no two ways about it. This weapon sucks. It is easily the second worst gun in the game after the Obama gun. It is tragically terrible. It really sucks a lot. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't think it's good, but definitely not F. I think it's an F tier weapon easily. I think this weapon is garbage. I think the only saving grace is that there is no saving grace. I mean, you can stun lock enemies sometimes with it, but you normally need the Cold Snap anyway. I think it's definitely better than the Pulse Rifle. I don't. They last a pretty damn long time. Yeah, but they're still useless. You only get like 5 shots with it again, and like, again, here's the thing. Is there any situation where you're ever going to say to yourself, wow, you know what would be perfect in this scenario? The Glove of Doom. No, I mean, like, there's literally no scenario. Can't you spam like hundreds of suicide agents, but they don't do damage when they blow up. It's not good, guys. By the time you throw out 5 Doom gloves, like, you could have already done so much more damage with literally any other weapon in the entire game. This weapon is not good. It is not good. F is too harsh? I don't think so. This weapon was trash. This weapon was trash from beginning to end. Leveling it up was terrible. Using it even after V5 was terrible. Its damage output is terrible. At least Mr. Fungi can actually distract enemies. This weapon is doo-doo. I really hate this weapon a lot. I really do. Listen, you may put it in D tier. I think this is a firmly F tier weapon. I think it's firmly F tier. They draw aggro? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But not enough to ever be useful. They don't do anything. Like, listen, Mr. Fungi and Glove of Doom, I think, are both bad. They're both terrible. The damage output is so bad. I think it's better than the Glove of Doom from Rack 1. I think they both suck. I really do. Listen, you want to know another reason why, relative to the other weapons, I placed this one so low? It's because within the actual parameters of Rift Apart, everything else does so much more damage that there's literally no reason you'd ever want to use anything else. I can't think of a single situation where I ever wanted to use the Glove of Doom. Even early on, it was a little too expensive, I thought. I strictly avoided buying the Glove of Doom for so long because I thought it was too expensive. That's just like saying I have the Rhino, so I won't use anything else. But okay, let me put it to you this way. What are you going to use instead of the Glove of Doom? Right? The Headhunter, absolutely. The Lightning Rod, absolutely. Mr. Fungi, yes. You could still, I would still argue using Mr. Fungi is more useful than the Glove of Doom. Negatron Collider, of course. Ricochet, of course. Rhino 8, of course. Shatterbomb, of course. The Enforcer, of course. Topiary Sprinkler, no, yeah, of course. Void Repulsor, of course. Every single one of these weapons is not only better than the Glove of Doom, it's miles better than the Glove of Doom. I would rather use the Wrench than the Glove of Doom in certain cases. I really would. Yeah, I'm sticking with this. If you're upset over me putting the Glove of Doom here, I'm sorry. Headhunter, the best sniper rifle in my opinion in the entire series. Best sniper rifle, period. Easy S tier weapon. Easy S tier. Because Cold Snap Warmonger exists, Headhunter is slightly too weak to be considered SS tier. But this is easily the best sniper rifle. It has some... I'm going to put this at the top of S tier. Because I think this sniper rifle is the most fun sniper rifle I've ever used, period. I love using it. I think the only sniper rifles I've ever used that are more fun in my mind are the ones in Borderlands 2. Does it pierce through enemies, though? No, but I kind of like that challenge. Or maybe it does, but I'm just terrible with it. I don't know. I just think it's a great weapon. Lightning Rod. Good, not great. Pretty middle of the road. Puts enemies in a stun. Does a decent amount of damage. I'll put it right here. Just above the pixelizer. Mr. Fungi. I'm also going to put that in F tier. I don't like any of those weapons. All three ripped apart weapons that are in F tier, I hate them. I hate them so much. I think they're all trash. If you put them in D tier, that's totally fine. I don't think any of them are better than the burst pistol. And that's at the bottom of D tier for me. Fungi is good against shields as soon as they appear. Easy, middle, D. I mean, every weapon is good against shields if you're willing to dump enough ammo into it. Like, the shield guys don't happen. They're not there that often. You can get around them with tons of different weapons. I don't know. They're good for distracting enemies, but, like, realistically, you don't need to distract. I also am a big proponent of, like, enemies in Ripped Apart don't need to be distracted. Because it's, I think half the fun of the combat is learning how to weave between shots. Better than the Chopper? I can actually agree with that. I did like Mr. and Ms. Fungi better than the Chopper. But I'm still leaving it in F tier. You don't have to focus them with Fungi on the field? Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I just don't like the weapons. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't like them at all. If you like them, good for you. Y'all know this is my opinion, right? The Negatron Collider. This is easily, in my opinion, the most visually beautiful weapon in the entire series. Its only downside, it's kind of weak. It's kind of weak. For visuals alone, it's an A tier weapon, but it goes no higher than that. I like it better than the Winterizer. I like it better than the Critter Strike. I like it better than the Devastator, the Suck Cannon, the Sonic Eruptor, the Plasma Striker, the Mini Rocket Tube, the Hover Bomb Glove, the Rhino 7, the Constructo Bomb, the Spiral of Death, the Hunter Mine Launcher, the Drill Hound. Honestly, I'm just going to put it at the top of A tier. I'm going to put it at the top of A tier. Because I don't think it's super powerful. I don't think it's super strong. But I literally cream my pants every single time I use it. So I think it's easily the most fun weapon to use of the entire bunch. Ricochet. Oh, I forgot about the Ricochet. The Ricochet is absurdly good. This weapon is good with a capital G. It's fun to use. It's inventive. Is it as strong as, say, the Negatron Collider, the Black Hole Storm, or the Drill Hound? No, it's not. But it definitely provides something that a lot of other weapons don't, which is uniqueness. I love this weapon so much. I love the visuals that happen when you're, like, hitting enemies and go like, doom, 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 like, The way that people feel about the Bouncer in Going Commando and Ouya, this is how I feel about the Ricochet. I get a little happier every time I use it. So I'm going to put it right here above the Spiral of Death. Rhino 8. There's going to be some mixed opinions here. There's going to be some mixed opinions on this gun. Frankly, I also think it's one of the most creative weapons they've ever made. It does a lot of AoE damage. It has a ton of Easter eggs. The problem is, I didn't realize how quickly I would get tired of looking at purple. So I'm not putting it in SS. I am going to drop it in S tier. Definitely better than the Rift Inducer. Definitely better than Pyro, Tesla Claw, Bouncer, Fusion Rifle, Arbiter. I'm going to probably put it right here. I think I'm going to put it right there. Just below the Headhunter. Shatter Bomb. I thought the Shatter Bomb was good. I think it's definitely a good grenade glove. It's not nearly as good as the Constructo Bomb, but it's still good. I'd say it's a B tier weapon. I would say it is... I'll put it just below the Constructo Shotgun. And just below the Tesla Spikes. I'll put it right here. The Enforcer. Oh, I love the Enforcer. I love the Enforcer. Just because it follows the theme of the game doesn't make it inventive. Yes, I am, CJ. We're going to be going for probably a little bit longer as well. We still have 13, 26, 39, 52, 54 more weapons to go. 54 more to go. Actually, before I do the Enforcer, let me go take a bathroom break again real quick. I've been drinking a lot of water. I love this weapon. I love it. I wish it were stronger, but I love the weapon. I'm going to put it, personally, I'm going to put it above the Drill Hound. I think it packs a punch at all levels. It's the central focus of one of the most, frustrating parts of Rift Apart. I think anybody who's played the game probably struggled with the Enforcer challenge at least a little bit. Visually, it's just fun to use. The haptic triggers make it a joy to press. I just love it a lot. I think it's so sick. Thanks, Jess. Thanks for simping. I appreciate it. The Topiary Sprinkler. This weapon is so good. It's just so good. I don't think it's as... I mean, it's not nearly as good as the Cold Snap. I think it's thematically... Like, I think the idea of the weapon is creative and unique. I wish it were a bit better about locking onto enemies proper. But I get that they're going for the sprinkler aspect of... So, you know, it's obviously not going to target enemies the best. I'm going to put it... I'm still going to put it in A tier. I'm just figuring out where I want to put it. I'm going to put it right here. That seems fair to me. All right, the Void Repulsor. In my opinion, the most balanced shield in the entire game. Or in the entire series. I actually really like the Void Repulsor a lot. I wish it had more ammo. I think this weapon is just very well balanced. I really do think that. I think it's... I think it... This weapon's a chore to upgrade. I don't think it's that bad, honestly. Listen, I know a lot of you guys probably hated this. I think the Void Repulsor was sick. I found it helped me out quite a bit from time to time. Like, not even necessarily offensively, but just defensively. You upgraded it with infinite ammo? Yeah, at the very end. I leveled it up to like V8 or V9 before that, though. I used the Void Repulsor quite a bit. I know I cheesed it with infinite ammo at the very end, but I think this is a great weapon. I think it's a combination of what happens when you try to balance offensive and defensive play. I'm putting it in B tier. I'm going to put it above... Yes, yes, yes. I'm putting it above the Visibomb. It's definitely a B tier weapon in my eyes. It's great defensively. It's good offensively. And in general, I just like that they tried something really unique with a shield type weapon. I think that the shields, they have a... If you look at the shields throughout the series, there is a common problem where they can't, like, the shields, whenever they add them, are so crazy busted, so they have to nerf the hell out of them, and then they become useless. And so this is actually a good, happy medium. Maybe it could be a little bit better, and maybe there'll be a weapon that comes out later that'll push this down. But for now, I think it's firmly B tier. We're down to SAC, SM, Future Cleanup, and Ouya. All right. In general, Secret Agent Clank weapons, I think, are as bad on the whole as Into the Nexus weapons, if not worse. I think they are better. I think they're better than the All-for-One and Full Frontal Assault weapons, but not by a lot. Okay, the Blowtorch briefcase. This one was kind of a snoozer, if I remember correctly. It's okay, but then it quickly does almost nothing. I'm trying to remember, what were the really good weapons from SAC? Wasn't it just, like, the Shard Gun and the Thunderstorm Umbrella? Weren't those, like, the best two by far? Or am I underrating the Mine Launcher? I just don't remember anything in this game being particularly good. I mean, in general, I thought the experience of the game was very middle of the road. Alright, I don't know. I don't remember the Blowtorch briefcase being very good, but I don't know if I can justify it being any better than the Thunder Smack. So I'm going to drop this one into D tier. I'm going to put it just below the Doppelbanger. The Cufflink Bomb. Yeah, it wasn't bad. How is the Mind Glove better than the Glove of Doom? Because the Mind Glove is Omega Giga busted in Ouya multiplayer. Anybody who's ever played Ouya multiplayer can tell you the Mind Glove is the single most broken gun in the entire game by a lot. It's not even close. Cufflink Bomb, I remember being one of the better weapons in SAC. But I don't remember it being super good. I think in comparison, especially considering I have some pretty decently strong weapons in C tier. I think I'm going to drop this. I'm going to drop it right here. Right above the Time Bomb. That's where I'm going to put the Cufflink Bomb. I don't remember it being that bad. I don't remember it being that good either. The Hollow Knuckles? Isn't this just like stupid Walloper? Isn't that what this is? This is just stupid Walloper. How is Mind Glove a C tier? I literally just said this. The Mind Glove is Omega triple S tier in Ouya multiplayer. And it's an F tier weapon elsewhere. Yeah, Mythical Cat made this list and says that Ouya counts, so I abide by it. Synapse, the Clank Zapper is easily the worst weapon in the entire series. Easily. Alright, Hollow Knuckles. What are we doing with this? I'm pretty sure this is just stupid Walloper, right? This is just stupid Walloper. I'm putting it in F tier. Clank Zapper is goated. I'll fight you. Okay, let's fight about it. Whoever can stay unbanned longer in chat is correct. Sorry, Leg. I had to do it to you. Okay, I'm putting this in F tier. I'm putting it just above the Obama gun because I hate the Obama gun that much. Yes, we are, Dan. We're good. The Hollow Knuckles had combos. Yeah, but were any of them actually useful? Where the bouncer at? Yo, Alex, I put the bouncer in S tier. Because it's just giga broken in 2016 and Rift Apart. God bless, what an intellectual. What can I say? I'm just such a good person. Mine Launcher. I don't remember the Mine Launcher. I'm going to be real with you, but I can't imagine it being that bad. I mean, this is basically just going to be my entire opinion of Secret Agent Clank. It's just like, I barely remember this weapon. Mine Launcher. I'll put it in C tier as well. I'm going to put it right here, above the Constructo pistol. The Pork Bomb Glove. Pretty funny gun. Not very good, but funny. We're going to top a D tier. The Shard Gun. I remember this one being one of the best ones in SAC. I remember this being, like, easily one of the best weapons in all of SAC. As long as I'm remembering this correctly. I think I'm going to put this one in B tier. I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to put it just below the Chimp-O-Matic. Just to want to let you know, it's been going for almost 5 hours. It's 4 hours and 20-something minutes so far. The Tangle Vine. This was useful as a gadget more so than it was a weapon. But it was still decent as a weapon as well. I'm going to put it in C tier. I'm going to move this here. And I'm going to move the Hollow Shield Launcher down, actually. I feel bad putting this in C tier. Or at least that high up in C tier. I want to put it, like, here, actually. Okay, the Thunderstorm Umbrella. If I recall correctly, this is pretty easily the best weapon in SAC. This is at least B tier. It's a cool weapon. It does a lot of damage, and it's useful the entire game. So, I think I'm actually going to... Out of respect to the mobile kids, I'm actually going to drop this in A tier. Similar to how the Critter Strike is still here, despite the fact that All for One is a terrible game. I'm with the Thunderstorm, or the Thunderstorm Umbrella. Right below the Sonic Eruptor. Right below the Sonic Eruptor. Lightning Rod has a charge attack. Yeah, it does have a charge attack, but it doesn't make it particularly great all the same. And finally, the Tyrang. I remember the Tyrang was one of the first weapons you get in the entire game. It's good to start, and it's useful throughout because it's a gadget. But I don't really see this being anything higher than C tier. It's a cool idea. Not done very well. I'll put it right above Cufflink Bomb. All SAC weapons are F tier. I disagree with that. I think that SAC is a better game than people give it credit for. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying SAC is good. I'm saying it's better than people give it credit for. And with that, we're down to 42 weapons. We only have 42 left to go. We've done nearly 100 already. Size matters. I didn't think this game was bad. I thought a lot of the weapons were just... So, the Lacerator, the Concussion Gun, the B-Mine, the Acid Mod. Acid Bomb Glove, sorry. Okay, Cheese Man, you win. Oh my god. Acid Bomb, none of these really impress me. I mean, the weapon, the game itself isn't bad. But a lot of the weapons I thought were a little... Oh, what's the way I want to put this? Cringe? The Shock Rocket was really good. I remember that. And the Lacerator was good. The Concussion Gun was decent. I don't know. A lot of these just really didn't make many impressions on me. Did you beat the final 2 bosses? Yeah, I mean, I beat the games. Yeah, I did. I don't know, man. This gun, I want to say, is like... Yeah, they tried to be original, but kind of failed. Acid Mod, I'm going to drop... Or Acid Bomb Glove, I'm going to put this... I'm going to move the Thunder Smack up, because it feels like I'm starting to be a little unfair to the Thunder Smack. I'm going to put it up higher. I'm going to put it, like, right around here. B-Mine Glove was original. Decent concept. Not the best execution. So, I'm going to put it probably somewhere around... Maybe just above the Tyrang. No, I wasn't a huge fan of it, personally. The Concussion Gun was really boring. I mean, it's a very... It's a standard below average weapon. I don't think it does really any... I don't think it does really any damage at all. Yeah, this is easily the worst shotgun in the entire series. So, I'm gonna put this... I'm gonna put this right here. Lacerator. Lacerator's actually not bad. There's a strat in the speedrun that we call Clank's Heart Piece Wall Climb into Clank's Heart Piece IJs into Dual Lacerator V4 Elevation or something like that. I forget the... Talking about Clank's Heart Piece Wall Climb into Clank's Heart Piece IJ into Polarizer Pad Proxy onto the globe into Dual Lacerator V4 Elevation. That's the full name of the strat. I remember 3/4 of it. Clank's hardpiece wall climb into Clank's hardpiece IJ into polarizer pad proxy onto the globe in a dual lacerator V4 elevation. I kind of like the lacerator just because of that speedrunning strat alone. I'm gonna put this weapon. I mean, the lacerator is still a good pistol. Honestly, it's a really good pistol. I'm gonna put it right next to the Lancer. I'm gonna put it just above. It's honestly the one saving grace of Size Matters and Secret Agent Clank. It's the one saving grace of that game. The fact that the lacerator is actually good. The laser tracer, I'm gonna be real with you, I don't even remember this gun. Is it good? Is it just lasers? Is it just fire and lasers? Bah, shoop to whoop. Does a ton of damage and blocks bullets. Yeah, but you can't move. Dude, I always love when, like, certain things come at a price. You literally make a giant laser when you trace around the screen at enemies. That's actually pretty based. High DPS. I'll put it in B tier as well. Cool concept. Well, let's put it in C tier because you guys are saying it's a pretty weak gun. Or that it has some pretty decent drawbacks. We're going to say it's a pretty average weapon. I mean, top of C tier is still pretty average, right? We're going to put that in C tier. All right, the mutator. I'm going to be real with you. I don't remember this one either. I think it's pretty decent, probably, for Size Matters. I imagine it can't possibly be worse than any of the other crap that we've gotten. I'm going to put it at the bottom of C tier. No, I'm going to put it right here. And I'm actually going to put the lightning rod. I changed my mind about the lightning rod. I'm putting it right here. Right below the mine glove. The rhino. I mean, it's a rhino. The lowest rhino I have right now is the Rhino 6. Do we agree that this is at least better than the Rhino 6? We can at least agree this is better than the Rhino 6, right? Do we think it belongs in A tier? Do we think it's better than the Thunderstorm? I think also yes. I think we have to put it in A tier. It's still a Rhino. Do we think it's better than the Rhino 7? I would say no. But I think I might put it just below it. For being the saving graces of those two games. It costs like 4 million. We'll put it just above the Thunderstorm. For being the saving graces of those two games. 9999999 it cost and 2 million in SAC. We're gonna put it above the Critter Strike because it's still, you know. We're gonna put it above the Critter Strike. The Scorcher. The Scorcher I remember being pretty decent. I remember being kind of fun to use. But I don't remember doing a whole lot of damage. And I remember getting a little frustrated with it towards the mid game. So I'm going to drop it in D. I'm going to put it just below the Blowtorch briefcase. The Shock Rocket, the actual true saving grace of Size Matters. This weapon is unironically actually decent. Like, actually good. Actually a good weapon. Check your posture, you chump bitch. Just because McGiggles is right doesn't mean I want to read it. I'm putting this one above the Thunderstorm. Do we feel that it's better than the mini rocket tube? I mean, that is the most direct comparison, right? Do we feel it's better than the mini rocket tube? I say no. But we can also think about it relatively, like, in terms of, like... In going Commando, of course, a rocket launcher is going to be better, but it's still weaker overall. Whereas this is better relative to the weapons that it's, like, supposed to be used against. Let's put it underneath the Topiary Sprinkler. I'll put it just above the mini rocket tube. Sniper Mine. I remember this one being kind of lame. But it wasn't that bad. Like, it's obviously not going to be as good as the other sniper rifles, but it's still cute. It's a Clank sniper rifle. It's cute. Oh, the sniper mine is a ratchet weapon? I forgot to do play. Oh, I forgot this is size matters. Jesus. I'm thinking Secret Agent Clank for some reason. Oh yeah, why was I thinking? Oh no, I am thinking size matters. Wait a minute. Oh my god, dude. I was thinking size matters, but got it crossed up with Secret Agent Clank. I'm stupid. This weapon's not bad. I'm gonna put it in B tier because it's funny. I'm gonna put it just above the chimp gun. Static barrier. I don't remember the static barrier at all. I'm gonna be real with you. Just a bad hollow shield. Oh, it goes like wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, that's that. This is an F tier weapon. This is an F tier weapon. I'm gonna put it right there. Such a bad shield. Such a bad shield. The Alpha Disruptor. Isn't this basically the Rhino of Quest for Booty? This is a very good weapon. It's very good in Todd. It's very good in Quest for Booty. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is S tier. I'm gonna put it above the Rift Inducer. I'm gonna put it above the Pyrociter, above the Tesla Claw, above the Bouncer, above the Fusion Rifle, above the Arbiter, above the Bomb Glove. Yeah, I think this is right. I think this goes right here. You don't like the Glove of Doom? I think it's terrible. I think it's a terrible weapon. I know some people disagree with me. I've always thought it was terrible. Lands, the one problem with the Negatron Collider is that it doesn't do a lot of damage. You would personally switch to the Arbiter and the Fusion Rifle? I don't agree, only because the Arbiter has really good AoE and can hit a lot of enemies at once. You should try 2 to 3 rounds of glove plus ice gun and ground bosses melt in 3 seconds. What are we talking about? Rift Apart, or what are we talking about here? Zero, every weapon is really good if you use the Cold Snap, because the Cold Snap is broken. And I've done that. I've done Cold Snap agents when I was leveling them up. Or not agents, Glove of Doom, when I was leveling it up. It's good, but it's not super strong. I just don't like the weapon. The Buzzblades. The Buzzblades were really bad in Rift Apart. They were really good in the future games in 2016. They were never the most broken weapon. They were never the most broken weapon, but they were always really good. I think you're undervaluing the Negatron Collider. I really don't think I am. I'll be real with you. I don't think I'm undervaluing the Negatron Collider. I mean, maybe if anything, I would put the Rift Inducer down back into A tier. Like, maybe I would drop the Rift Inducer a little bit. I actually am going to drop the Rift Inducer quite a bit now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to drop it to just below the Rhino. I think the Negatron Collider is sick. I don't think it's super broken. Actually, I did always have fun using it. I'll put it above the Bouncer. You guys will get what you want. I'll put it above the Bouncer. Buzzblades. Yeah, these weapons were always strong. The Rift Apart version of the Buzzblades will really tie this down. I think if it were just Todd, Aceit, and 2016, this would be an S tier weapon. But because the ones in Rift Apart were so bad, I'm going to put it in A tier. Todd Buzzblades were not good either. Okay, then that does even worse. They were really good in Aceit. I'll say that much. I'm going to put it in... I'm going to put it in low A tier. I'm going to put it above the Critter Strike. I'm going to just... I mean, they're still really strong in Aceit in 2016. They're not super good in Rift Apart or Todd, but they're still pretty fun to use. So I'm going to put them in A tier. Oh boy, everyone's favorite. The Combustor. This weapon is so iconic. Everyone knows the Combustor, and you want to know why? Do you want to know why everyone knows the Combustor? Because the series shoved the Combustor down your throat for like 12 straight games. It's actually really good in Quest for Booty. I am going to say that the upgraded Combustor is actually so good in Quest for Booty. But in every other game, it's not great. I'm not putting it in F because I don't hate it. Like, all of these weapons, I either actively am ambivalent towards or just hate. I don't hate the Combustor. I'm gonna put it at the very bottom of D tier. I think it's in many cases better than the Burst Pistol. Actually, I'm gonna put it right above the Burst Pistol. Yeah, I like it better than the Burst Pistol for sure. The Fusion Grenade. Fusion Grenade's okay. It's not good. It's not really that bad. Burst Pistol is better than Combustor. Listen. I've played Quest for Booty more than I've played any of the other Future games. Including A Crack in Time. And the Combustor is actually really good in Quest for Booty. So that influences my opinion a lot more than maybe some other people would have their opinion influenced. I still think it's better than the Burst Pistol. I didn't really like the Burst Pistol at all, frankly. It felt fun to use, but it wasn't strong. The Fusion Grenade is actually pretty decent as well. So, I'm with the Fusion Grenade up here somewhere. I'm gonna put it above Zircon. Yeah, I'll put it above Zircon. Although power-wise, it's actually not bad. So maybe I could be convinced to throw it up to C tier. Yeah, I'll put it mid C tier, above the Cufflink Bomb. Magnet Launcher. I remember this weapon being really good. Yeah, I would say this one was pretty decent. I liked using it a lot. I thought it was really fun to use. I didn't really use it that much in TOD, but I used it a bit in Ace It, and it felt good. Especially on that one planet where all the war dudes are taking over the planet, and all the Fongoids are like, please help me. I'm stupid and annoying and I have a stupid voice. Please don't let them kill me. I'm gonna put it in A tier. And I'm gonna put it above the Buzzblades. I liked it a lot in Ace It. I did. Nano Swarmers. This weapon is stupid. And deserves to feel stupid. It's not F tier. Again, just another, like, middle-of-the-road weapon. Like, the concept is cool, but the execution I'm not a huge fan of. I'm gonna put it right next to the B-Mine glove, because if I'm gonna put B-Mine and C, I'm gonna put the Nano Swarmers right next to it. I'm not a huge fan of it, I'll be real with you. It's pretty decent. It's actually good AoE as well. Maybe I'll put it a little bit higher. I'm actually gonna put it in B tier. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna put it just below the Shard Gun. The Negotiator. I mean, this weapon is just... It's just worse Warmonger, right? So good, but not great. I think it's more fun to use than the Devastator, personally. There's so many rocket launchers here. I'm gonna say I didn't enjoy it as much as the Mini Rocket 2, but I did enjoy it more than the Devastator. So I'm gonna put it above the Suck. Plasma Beasts. Didn't this weapon suck ass? I'm pretty sure this weapon sucked. Strong for Raritanium farm. Dealt okay damage, was good but hard to make it land where you wanted to. Raritanium. Alright, I'll put it in D tier. I'm gonna put it just above Mr. Zircon. Predator Launcher. This weapon is beyond busted. I mean, it's just really good across the board. I think this is a sick weapon. It's amazing in Quest for Booty. I don't remember how good it is in TOD. And I don't remember how good it is in 2016. In TOD, it's kind of ass. Okay. 2016, I don't remember. I remember being there. You get it for free in 2016? Well, that's pretty good then. Pretty low damage, though? Okay. So let's split the difference. If it's amazing in Booty, and it's kind of bad in the other games, let's drop it into a modest low B, high C. I'm gonna put it above the Chimp Gun. I love Predators. What else is new? Jesus Christ. The Pyro Blaster. The Pyro Blaster is giga broken in Todd. It's really, really, really good. I don't know about All for One or Full Frontal Assault, but this weapon is omega broken in Todd. Like, actually, like, the speedrun is only as remotely possible as it is to go as fast as it does because of the Pyro Blaster. This gun is insane. I don't think it was very good in All for One. I don't think it's very good in Full Frontal Assault. But those don't really constitute games, like real games that people play and enjoy. So I'm gonna do the honor of ignoring how bad it is in the other games and drop this in S tier. I'm actually unironically gonna put this above the Pyrociter. It's busted in FFA as well. If it's busted in FFA, that's actually even better for its cases. But it does suck in All for One. I think I remember that. So I'm gonna leave it in S tier overall. Maybe I'll raise it a little bit. Maybe I'll put it above. I'll put it above the Bouncer actually. Actually, no, I'm gonna put it even higher. I'm gonna put it right below the Alpha Disruptor. Like, I think you guys are really underestimating how disgusting the Pyro Blaster is. Razor Claws. The Razor Claws are great in the speedrun, but as far as practical use, I think they're cool, but I don't know if they're actually good. I remember them being really fun to use. I don't remember them being very strong. I remember them just being a better wrench. I'm gonna drop them in a firm B tier. Because I think they're cool to use, but I don't like using them myself. I'll drop the Razor Claws there. Rhino 4. Well, it's a Rhino. So it's hard to argue it's anything other than SS tier, right? But I don't think this one was very good. Or, I mean, bare minimum S is what I meant to say. I don't think this one's very good. I think the Rhino 5 was much more memorable. And this one is still outclassed by the Pyro Blaster as far as single target damage goes. Or is that the case? No, I think you use the Rhino 4 in NG+. Best Rhino in accuracy? That's actually a pretty good, like, claim to fame. I remember each individual shot was pretty weak, but on the whole, it got more shots out. Especially when you upgrade it to X. It was pretty decent. I think I'm gonna barely put it... I don't even know, man. Rhino 2, that thing hardly ever misses. That is not true. Listen, the Rhino 2 is the number 3 weapon in spite of its accuracy, not because of it. I'll put this here. Alpha Disruptor should be way lower. Really? You think so? I guess that's fair. If the Pyro Blaster's here, the Alpha Disruptor should not be above it. So, I think I'll drop this. I'll drop the Alpha Disruptor down to A tier. I'll make it just below the Black Hole Storm. Shard Reaper. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't remember this one. I know what it looks like because I've seen people use it. I don't remember it being good at all. It's the speedrun shotgun. Good for arenas. Oh, that's right. You guys do use it in arenas. Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna say it doesn't have much use outside of that, though. So I'm gonna put it in D tier. I'm gonna put it above the Pork Bomb Glove. The Shock Ravager. Incredible for speedruns. But we're not really considering that too much. It's mostly just okay. I mean, I think it's just a worse Plasma Whip, right? It's a pretty bad weapon. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Suspends you in midair for a little bit. AoE is broken. Way better than Plasma Whip air attack. Okay. I'll bite. I'll put it in C tier. I'm gonna readjust this a little bit. There we go. That feels better. That also feels better. Okay. Tornado Launcher. I'm real with you. I hate this weapon. I hate it with with every fiber of my being. It's stupid. It's 6-axis. It's just not good. I mean, like, it was annoying to use, in my opinion. The damage output is not bad. I will say that. I remember very vividly being able to sweep up enemies and just, like, hurl them around a while. But I hate 6-axis. I just hate it so much. So, I'm not going to rate this an F tier weapon. I'm not going to rate it a C tier weapon. I'm going to drop it firmly in D tier. I'm going to put it just above the Taunter. That's where I'm going to put it. And then I think all we have left are the Ouya weapons, right? We're nearly out of the woods here. Oh my goodness. The Agents of Doom, I hate to break it to you all, they are really good in Ouya. They are legitimately one of the best single target damage dealers in the entire game. At least for how cost effective they are. There's 60,000 bolts and absolutely annihilate Courtney Gears. Like, they annihilate her. They do so much damage. In 2016, they're good. I don't remember them in Size Matters. I think I might have been too quick to proclaim that the Ripped Apart Glove of Doom was better than this one. I agree, but I'm not going to hold it against you. I think overall this is a solid weapon from start to finish. I think this is just a solid weapon. I've never had any complaints about the Agents of Doom. I'm going to put it in A tier, actually. I love this weapon a lot. I think it's the best glove weapon, personally. Maybe I'm forgetting one or two really cool ones. They're not so good when they get upgraded. So maybe I would consider dropping it actually down to B tier. Especially considering how strong all the A tier weapons are. So I'm probably going to put this... I'll put this above the Tesla spikes for sure. Above the Constructor Shotgun, above the Visibomb. Above the Razor Claw. Mini Turret Glove. I'm going to put it at the very top of B tier. I'm going to put it right next to the Mini Turret Glove because I think they have inverse power spikes. The Agents of Doom are at their strongest when you first buy them, and the Mini Turret Gloves are at their strongest when they're most upgraded. And they kind of just like meet in the middle and then go their separate ways. They're like passing ships in the night. Alright, the Annihilator. This is one that people said I underrated in my original tier list. I'm going to say it's easily A tier. I'm also going to say it's better than the Devastator. The Annihilator is just basically a bouncer with range. I think if you guys are thinking this is a weak weapon, you're really misremembering how strong it is V4 onwards. Like, this weapon unironically slaps. It's not bad at all. V4 Plus is actually really good. And it kills enemies super fast. So I think you all are saying easily worse than the Devastator. Actually, if anything, you know what? I'm going to do something here. I'm going to make a bold assessment. Actually, yeah, relative to the strength of enemies in Ratchet 1, it is weaker than the Devastator. I'm still going to put it in A tier, though. I'm going to put it right here. The Disc Blade Gun. This weapon is crazy. This weapon is actually crazy. It costs a lot, and it's worth every penny. Okay, so John Rick, I'll be real with you. The biggest reasons I put Negatron Collider in S tier is because it's easily the most visually aesthetic weapon I've ever seen in my entire life. In any game, period. Isn't it 175k? I believe it's somewhere around there. I believe it's somewhere around 175k. In my original tier list, I put this weapon in... Regardless. I think the Disc Blade Gun, I underrated it last time. I think it's an A tier weapon. I love that it expands into 1 trillion discs. The discs themselves are not that strong, but the AoE spread and coverage is really amazing. And it's a cool weapon, very visually appealing. I'm going to put it just above the Annihilator. I think it's more fun to use than the Annihilator. And I'm going to put it just above the Blaster. The Flux Rifle. Let's not mince words. The Flux Rifle is ridiculous. It's at least S tier. Bare minimum S tier. Is it completely broken in the same way that the weapons up here are completely broken? No, I don't think so. And if I don't have the Headhunter in SS, I'm not putting the Flux Rifle in S tier, or in SS either. I think the Headhunter is the best sniper rifle in the entire game, in the entire series, period. End of sentence. I am going to put the Flux Rifle above the Plasma Coil, but I am going to leave it below the Headhunter. Hollow Shield Glove. Hollow Shield Glove. Oh, I see we're all still talking about the Flux Rifle. Let's talk about it a little bit more. Let's talk about it. I like the Deadlocked Rifle better than Flux. How is Flux better than Plasma casually? Because the Flux Rifle scoped in does a ridiculous amount of damage. I think you guys are underestimating. If you guys don't think that the Flux Rifle is better than the Fusion Rifle, I recommend scoping in anytime you use the Flux Rifle. It does an enormous amount of damage. The Flux Rifle is so strong that we use it to kill the final boss in every category. And I know I said I wouldn't let speedrunning influence my decision that much, but that's the true power of the Flux Rifle. You don't get staggered, you don't suffer hit stun when you're scoped in with the Flux Rifle. Which I guess is true for a lot of the sniper rifles. But the damage, the single target damage is ridiculous. You can hit through enemies. There's just nothing this gun can't do. I love this gun a lot. Hollow Shield Glove. This weapon is ass. It is booty, butt, cheeks. I don't think it's as bad as some of these ones, though. Actually, yes, I do. Now that we're comparing against a lot of other weapons, I don't think there's as much room for debate. I think it's firmly F tier. And I'm gonna put it just above the slew of useless weapons over here. The Infector. I don't think the Infector is garbage. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think it's super garbage. I think it's bad. I think it's no higher than D tier. No higher than the lowest of the low in D tier. But if I'm putting the Combustor at the end of D tier, I feel like logically speaking, I have to put the Infector in F tier. I'm gonna put it just above the Hollow Shield Glove because I would much rather use the Infector than the Hollow Shield Glove. But I still think it's worse than the Bombardier. Actually, no. I'm going to put it above the Bombardier. My personal favorite gun in all of the original trilogy, the liquid nitrogen gun. I love this gun. Put the Infector above the concussion gun. Hey, any chance we can get the dunk on Size Matters in Secret Agent Clank, I'll take it. Alright, the liquid nitrogen gun. I love the liquid nitrogen gun. I love it with all of my heart. Realistically, it's a B tier weapon. It's B tier. It's not nearly as good. Well, maybe if I have the Winterizer in A tier, I can put the liquid nitrogen gun up here. But I'm going to do this, actually. I'm going to put the Winterizer back into B tier. I'm going to put the liquid nitrogen gun right above it. I think the liquid nitrogen gun is a great weapon. I don't think it's that good, realistically. I really don't. Especially because the Meteor gun is so much better. I love it, though. If I had to go purely off of swag style points, this would be easy S tier. The N60 Storm. I need you to listen to me very carefully, chat. I need you to listen to me very carefully. This is non-negotiable. This is not up for debate. This is not up for debate. Listen, you all can try to debate if you want. It's not gonna work. Oh, dear Lord, I hate this gun. I hate this gun with every fiber of my being. At least the Infector can actually get enemies to shoot each other. The N60 Storm is just thoroughly useless. How did you rank the weapons you've not used before? I've used mostly all of them, and some of them I just relegated to chat opinion. Give Clank Zapper a friend? No. Giving the Clank Zapper a friend is a disservice to everything else this tier list stands for. To imply that any weapon is even remotely as useless as the Clank Zapper is to fundamentally misunderstand how abominable this weapon is. What about the Clank bots? Fiku, don't get carried away. Nitro Launcher. I like this weapon. I do. I think it's a good weapon overall. Ignoring the price, is the Clank Zapper worse than free damage? Yeah, it's bad. I would rather use the wrench in any situation. In any situation than the Clank Zapper. The Nitro Launcher is good. I like the Nitro Launcher. I think it's better than the Shatter Bomb. Where did I put the Gravity Bomb? Did any of you see the Gravity Bomb? Where did I put that one? Winterizer, meter. Oh, there it is, the Gravity Bomb. Okay. I see it. I think the Nitro Launcher is better. I think it's better than the Gravity Bomb. It does more. It has more hit stun. It's good against all enemies all the time. There's never a situation where a V8 Nitro Launcher won't be good. And it's even good in the early game. It's really good in the early game. It's amazing in the early game. It falls off a little bit in the mid game after you get it to V5. Or like the mid to late game. And then once you get it to V6, it becomes really good again. It's worse than the agents, but it has a bigger AoE spread than the agents do. So like the agents take a while to kill some enemies. It's definitely better than the agents, I think. I'm gonna put it at the top of B tier. The whip. Deece weapon. Deece. Not good. I will say the one good thing about it is that it will always stagger enemies, which is actually really useful. Yeah, throwing the whip counts as a double throw. You can hit them on the front end and the back end. Or you can hit them multiple times. Yeah, the whip's not bad. It's not a bad weapon. I think most people tend to have fond feelings of the whip. I'm not going to put it in D tier. I don't know if it's good enough to be in B tier. If it is B tier, I think it's at the very, like, towards the middle or the bottom of Actually, I am kind of forgetting about the upgraded version that shoots out like a ground laser. All that being said, I think I'll put it in... I think I'll put it just above the Shatter Bomb. It's fun to use. It's a really cool weapon, a great idea. One they've never truly successfully reproduced. It's a weapon everyone remembers. It's a weapon that does a lot. I like it. Even at the earlier levels, you can fight really strong enemies and stagger them over and over by just going like... And they go like... And it takes like 30 hits to kill them, but you will kill them safely, you know? So I'm going to put that in, like, towards the top of B tier. The Quacko Ray. It's pretty good. I think it's definitely one of the best morphing guns by a pretty sizable margin. Better than the Critter Strike. Maybe. Is it better than the Critter Strike? I don't think it's better than the Critter Strike. I think the Critter Strike is just really broken. I mean, Ouya's a better game than All for One. But I don't know if this is better than the Critter Strike. It's pretty expensive, and by that point you have way better options. I kind of agree with that, actually. I'm going to put it below the Liquid Nitrogen gun. But I'm still going to put it in A tier because it's a really cool weapon. I love the concept. I love the evil flying duck that hovers around you, even though it's really annoying. It doesn't do that much damage. I think it's creative. I think it's a creative weapon. I'm leaving that in A tier. Rift Inducer. I mean, is there any question this is anything other than SS? The only weakness is that it's not good on bosses. I'm going to put it above the Cold Snap. I think I'm going to put it right here. How do I feel about that? Do I really think it's better than the Cold Snap? Honestly, not really. I don't. Do I think it's better than the Rhino 5? No. I do think it's better than the Scorpion Flail. The one thing I think that goes against the Rift Inducer, being at the very top of SS, is that it doesn't really do anything against bosses. It's not good for boss enemies. It's good for literally everything else. When you're playing this game casually and you don't have the Rhino 3, you go, okay, I'm entering combat. What do I do? All right, I put on a shield. That's step 1. Step 2, pull out the Rift Inducer. I mean, like, come on. This thing is ridiculous. There's a lot of stationary enemies and dropships that can't suck up either. No, it can. It can suck up every stationary enemy if you just throw down enough rifts. It levels up super fast. It's not that expensive. Like, for how much it costs, it's well worth every penny. Like, it's usable literally everywhere. You can literally throw a rift at your feet, and no enemies will be able to touch you. They won't be able to run up to you. They'll just get sucked up. Yeah, it definitely sucks up really big things at V8. It makes the entire Annihilation Nation challenges, like, brain dead. I agree. I just think this is, like, such a versatile weapon. I think it's so good. Maybe I'll actually put it just below the Scorpion Flail. Because the Scorpion Flail is just so unbelievably busted. But the Rift Inducer is also busted. I think if we're going to have a weapon that isn't an immediate one-hit, like, destruction kill, like if we're going to have the Headhunter at the top of S tier, the Rift Inducer is definitely better than the Headhunter. I'm going to put it at the bottom of SS. The Rhino 3. Oh, man. So many of you dunk on this Rhino so hard. So many of you dunk on this Rhino. It's amazing at V1. It's amazing at V2. It's amazing at V3. It's amazing at V4. And believe it or not, Twitch chat, it's amazing at V5. Does that seem right? Yeah. Definitely SS tier. It's not just about if it's fun to use. It's about, does it kill everything instantaneously? And the answer is yes. This is not up for debate. I'm sorry. Just because it's a worse version of the Harbinger doesn't mean it's bad. Can't kill bosses? Oh, we can kill bosses all right. But you have to use speedrunning strats to do it. I think the V5 Rhino should decrease Rhino 3 to high B tier. I think you guys are insane. I think you're truly insane if you don't see that this is an SS weapon. It kills literally everything. In one shot. You guys are nuts. You guys are actually insane. Fanboy talk? No. It kills everything. Just because you all clearly somehow don't understand how the Rhino works does not mean that I'm wrong. I think there's an argument to be made for the Rhino 4. Actually, I am going to put the Rhino 4 a little bit higher. It's not an incredibly strong weapon, but it's still useful in every circumstance. Actually, I might bump up... I remember it not killing tanks. If anything, I'll bump the Rhino 4 up to S tier, or SS tier. But I'm not lowering the Rhino 3. It's an SS tier weapon. It's absolutely an SS tier weapon. I'll give the nod to the Rhino 4, though, because it does also shred bosses. Rhino 4 is trash. It's the best weapon in Todd. I will actually put Alpha Disruptor at the bottom of S tier, though. Because it is actually really good in Quest for Booty. The Shock Cannon. I mean, strongest weapon in the entire game. I'm gonna put it right there, number 4. The first weapon you get. And Shock Cannon Weaving is broken across all barriers, all metrics. It's better than the Rhino by a lot. You could argue that it's not better than the Rhino 2. You could argue it's not better than the Harbinger. I actually agree with both of those assessments. Above Shield? Yeah, I put it above Shield. I mean, nothing can hit you when they're all dead, right? Spitting Hydra. Oh, yeah, I wanted to say I don't have it above the Rhino 2 or the Harbinger because of ammo. You can only fire it... 10... You can only fire it 5 times. If you pick up any ammo drops, you can fire it 6 times. And so it doesn't have the same luxury of the Harbinger and the Rhino 2. But I do think it's better than the Shield. I do. Spitting Hydra. This weapon is... Spitting Hydra is okay. It's not a good weapon. And it takes a while to ramp up. I'm actually pretty comfortable putting this in C tier. But let me just see what else is around here. I'm going to put it in C or B tier. I'm not sure which yet. It's better than the Lightning Rod. It's better than the Proton Drum. Better than the Blitz Gun. Better than the Decoy Glove casually. I think I put the Decoy Glove too high. Because I was considering speedrunning stuff too much. And I started considering it less and less as this list went on. Is it better than the Dynamo? I honestly don't think so. Is it better than the Thunder Smack? I don't think so. So I'm gonna put it there. I'm actually gonna drop the decoy glove to like probably top of D tier. I think that seems pretty reasonable. And then finally, the wrench. In my original tier list, I put the wrench as an SS tier weapon. And I'm gonna be honest with you, on this tier list, I'm gonna do the exact same. I'm putting it as the gatekeeper of SS. I think the wrench is always good, no matter what. I think some of these weapons just completely outclass it, but there is literally nothing the wrench can't do. The wrench is easily one of the best weapons. I mean, the lightsaber is legitimately one of the best weapons in Ouya. The wrench always gets stronger in Rack 2. It's still good in Rack 1. It's useful as a weapon and a gadget. You can throw it. You can do a bunch of stuff with it. And with every passing game, or at least this is how it worked in Ouya. I don't know if it works like this in the other games. But the wrench gets stronger as you get more health. So it's actually pretty good. Like, there's never a moment... You forgot about Rivet's hammer. Yeah, unfortunately, Rivet's hammer isn't here, but I mean, it's the same weapon, effectively. It would just... I mean, we would just be putting them right next to each other. It's the same in Todd. It's the same in Todd. Your wrench scales with health. With health. Health. Singular health. Do I think the Groovatron is the most broken weapon in the entire series? Yes. Because it's the only weapon in this entire list that is SS tier in 3 different games. 4 different games. It's literally SS tier in every single game that it's in. All 4 of them. There is never a situation where you don't want to be using the Groovatron. Do I feel good about the Harbinger here? Yes. I feel good about my general placements of all of these. I'm going to be real with you. But I think there's some that need to be readjusted a little bit because some of them I did relatively early on. I think I overrated the Rift Inducer at first. The Rift Inducer 5000, I mean to say. It's still good. I don't like it as much as the Enforcer. I don't like it as much as the Drill Hound. I don't like it as much as the Ricochet, so I'm going to put it right here. I think I overrated the Pyrocitor, honestly. It's obviously God tier in speedruns. And in 2016, it's still pretty good. But I don't think it's S tier. I think if you're excluding the speed strat of it hitting on every frame, it's not an amazing weapon. It's still a good weapon. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to drop this down to A tier. I'm going to put it just below the Rhino. So maybe there is room to put some of these up in SS tier. Or in S tier. I'm going to start by doing this. I'm going to do... Yeah, that seems right to me. That thins out A little bit and gets some weapons where they belong up here. Why is Quacko Ray so high? Because it's funny. And the Big Duck is really cool. In general, I think it's the second best morphing weapon after the Critter Strike. Although maybe I would consider dropping it back down to B tier. Liquid Nitrogen Gun is super low. Maybe I'll put it above the Annihilator. Honestly, I'm not going to go through this whole list because there's just a trillion of them. And I don't want to go through, like, 150 weapons again. This is basically a rough idea, right? This is a rough idea. You guys, I may agree with most of this. There's some stuff I probably don't even agree with if I were to comb through all of it again. But these are just my gut reactions. This has already been 6 hours. I've already been making this tier list for 6 straight hours. Can I ask for Plasma Striker above Mini Rocket because it's more fun to use? I can agree with that. That's good enough of an argument for me. Static Barrier, definitely not F tier. It saves you for the final fight and size matters. I don't think I used the Static Barrier that much, did I? I forget. But it's still a pretty booty shield. It's definitely like one of the worst shields. I mean, maybe I'll put it above the Hollow Shield Glove. And maybe I'll put the Hollow Shield Glove down like around here. But yeah, you guys can argue the tiny placements of all these things. Listen, I'm not going to argue the difference between what's a D tier weapon or an F tier weapon. I'm not going to argue the difference between a B or a C tier weapon. Like, it's all in the same general placings, right? Like, if you guys have any disagreements, that's totally fine. But I think this is pretty comprehensive, frankly. I think this is pretty good. I'm satisfied with this tier list. It's not perfect, but I'm satisfied with it. And so I hope you all enjoyed watching the process of me making this. Feel free to let me know in the comments section below what you think the best weapons are. If you agree with my placings of SS tier, what little things you liked, what things you didn't like, you can go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far, and you have a great rest of your day.